This is Love Like Poison, Corsican Crime Lord Series Book 1. Written by Charmaine Pauls. Narrated by Lori West and Gideon Frost.
Chapter 1. Most people don't know they're going to get married the first time they meet. Relationships develop over time. Some men and women weigh up the pros and cons to decide if they can live with someone until death do them part. Others follow their heart. Not me. In my family, tradition dictates differently. The decision was made for me a long time ago. That's how the business works. Money is power, and power is everything. Power means survival. It's the most fundamental rule of the world. Only the strongest survive. That's why I'm here. Why we're driving up the road that zigzags to the top of the hill and ends in a cul-de-sac. A mansion peeks from behind high walls. Beyond, the ocean glimmers in the golden dusk. Below, to the right, the lagoon is a flawless mirror surrounding the stilted cabins on the island. The town of Great Brack River lies a kilometer inland on the bank of the river, consisting of a supermarket, a post office, an old as well as a new church, a small police station, an art gallery, a gas station, and a handful of shops and restaurants. Anticipation tightens my gut. The reaction is involuntary. Far from being pure or innocent, it's born from instinct, from the darker animalistic side of me that needs to claim and procreate. Survival. That's why we came all the way from Corsica to this secluded town in South Africa that's no bigger than the point of a needle on the map. To meet my bride. I've known for 10 years, but 20 or 30 couldn't be long enough to prepare me for the moment. Whereas most human beings take the freedom of dating whoever they like for granted, I see it for what it is. A chore. Dating is nothing but a tedious process of selection via elimination. There's a certain calm in knowing one woman is destined to be mine. Our union will serve in fulfilling my duty. There's logic in that. It gives stability to life in a world where little and few can be trusted. It gives meaning to existence. No soul-searching or introspection are necessary. It's been decided. The outcome has been predetermined. The timing, however, could have been better. We left my mother and sister alone for New Year, but I understand only too well why my father is eager to see this contract to fruition. The reason for his haste eats at me too. Instead of flying to the nearest airport, we rented a car in Cape Town and drove the 428 kilometers to George. My father wanted to see the garden route and stop on the way to buy wine. We took the scenic road along the coast, passing cliffs that broke off into the stormy sea and bays studded with smooth rocks and penguins. Sea bamboo drifting on the dark waters of small coves marked the Whale Coast. The rugged shores eventually gave way to dunes covered with aloe vera, their red flowers like flaming torches in the clear blue sky, and long stretches of white sand where the air smelled of salt and succulent ground covers. After booking into a hotel on the golf estate in the neighboring town of George, my father needed a day to rest and recover his strength. The following day, we did a reconnaissance of the area and paid our business partner, my future father-in-law, an unscheduled visit at his office. My father believes in catching his associates off guard. That way they don't have time to hide in the unorthodox dealings they prefer to keep in the dark. If you want to know the true nature of a man, my father always says, catch him with his pants down. My father stops next to an intercom with a camera and pushes the button. The gates swing open without a squeak. We follow the road to where several cars are parked around a fountain on a circular driveway. Benjamin Edwards appears on his doorstep before my father has cut the engine. I get out and straighten my jacket, taking stock of the surroundings like a soldier scouts a battlefield. The house is the most impressive for miles around, built on the highest hill. Edwards stands on the porch like a cock crowing on his dunghill. In this sparsely populated part of South Africa, he may be the wealthiest man living in the biggest house. Compared to our property in Corsica, which is nothing short of a castle, the house that defines Edwards' status is unsubstantial, inconsequential. Much good all that money does us. Like Edwards' pretentious residence, our stronghold and landscaped gardens are for show. It's like putting a scumbag in a fancy suit. The centuries-old stigma still clings to our name. We come from a long line of vicious pirates and uneducated scoundrels. We're not welcome in the circles of the refined, religious, and elite. That would change soon. Edwards descends the steps to meet us. "I'm glad you could make it," he says, shaking our hands, but his fake smile says otherwise. The garden is buzzing with the commotion appropriate for a rich girl's 16th birthday party. Staff wearing black uniforms and white aprons are running up and down between the house and a cool truck parked in the far corner of the garden. White and pink flower wreaths decorate the balustrades, and a silver balloon arch frames the doorway. The breeze carries the notes of string music from the front of the house. Edwards leads us to the lounge, which is similarly decorated with flowers and balloons. Bouquets of lilies and roses perfume the air. A round table in the center of the room is piled high with parcels wrapped in pink with white ribbons, and vice versa. Did they specify the color of the wrapping paper like a fucking dress code on the invitation? I won't be surprised if Edwards introduces his daughter by marching her down the stairs in billows of white and pink voile. What does she look like? I resisted the urge to look her up on social media. A part of me, the darker, more deviant part that can resist neither gamble nor dare, wanted to walk into this unprepared and let the surprise take me wherever it would. Shock me, please me. I'm about to find out which. My father takes the box wrapped in golden paper from his jacket pocket and leaves it with the mountain of packets on the table. He's gone to a great deal of trouble to select a fine piece of craftsmanship from one of the best jewelers in Italy. The sliding doors are open, revealing the green lawn that sweeps to the edge of the dune, and the sea that's visible all the way to the convex curve of the horizon. The party is already in full swing. Guests mingle around cocktail tables, their droning conversations audible above the music. The string quartet is set up under a pine tree, the musicians expertly keeping the volume on a level that allows for chatter. The women are decked out in their best, some of them sporting hats you'd see at the Derby, and, like my father and Edwards, the men are dressed in tuxedos. Personally, I prefer a style less universal. I opted for a modern European look, with a designer jacket, a fitted shirt, and tailored pants. "Welcome to my humble home," Edwards says, waving a waiter closer. "Can I offer you a glass of champagne?" "Maybe scotch first," my father says, "while we talk business." Edwards glances at the top of the stairs, and then at his watch. "It's hardly the moment." My father's smile is indulgent. "It won't take long." Our host doesn't have a choice but to comply. Our family is an important service provider, for lack of a better word, in his business. Although from our impromptu visit to his office yesterday, I got the impression he wasn't ecstatic about our presence. As manners dictate, my father asked about the welfare of his family, and specifically about news of his youngest daughter. I could almost see the gears turning in Edwards's head, questioning the unlikely coincidence of our uninvited visit that happened to fall on the date of his daughter's 16th birthday. He couldn't do otherwise but to tell us about the party. The town is small. News travels. It would have been rude and politically incorrect not to invite us. We traveled across the whole of Africa after all, going to considerable efforts and expenses to call on him. Of course, my father accepted the invitation gracefully. Judging by Edwards's reaction yesterday, I won't be surprised if my bride-to-be has no knowledge of my existence. Edwards isn't a good actor. He couldn't hide his aversion. He barely endured shaking my hand. People either fear or despise me. Mostly they do both. Too bad. Benjamin Edwards may think he's better than us where morals are concerned, but we put him on his throne. He may sit there with a lily-white conscience and pretend his empire isn't built on blood, but I'm not scared to face the truth, or to roll up my sleeves and get my hands dirty. Edwards shows us into a study with leather couches facing a coffee table in the center of the floor, but indicates the visitors' chairs in front of the desk. My father shoots me a look as we take our seats. It doesn't take a psychiatrist to understand that Ben Edwards is scavenging whatever power he can, even if said power comes from hiding behind a desk. Edwards pours scotch at the wet bar and offers us each a drink, omitting one for himself. He sits down and folds his hands on the desk. "What can I do for you, Santino?" My father takes his box of cigarillos from his pocket and holds it out to Ben. Ben shakes his head. "It's time for Angelo and Sabella to meet," my father says, measuring Edwards. Edwards keeps a poker face, but he sits up straighter. "Why?" "Sabella will be 18 in 2 years. The only reaction Edwards shows is the twitch of his eyes. "Indeed? What of it?" My father rolls a cigarillo between his fingers and puts away the box. "She'll be an adult." When Edwards doesn't comment, he continues. "Of marriageable age." Edwards spares me no more than a glance, his upper lip curling, as if I'm an unpleasant sight. "I don't see what that has to do with Angelo." "She's been promised to Angelo." My father smiles. "Have you forgotten?" Edwards's face turns red. "I didn't agree to any such thing." My anger ignites in a second. I know what he's doing, why he's denying the oath he made. We're good enough to do his dirty work, but we're not good enough for his daughter. "We shook hands on the deal," my father says. Edwards no longer makes an effort to disguise his anger. "I didn't consent to what you're implying." "Where I come from, a handshake is as good as a signature. Giving your handshake is giving your word." My father looks Edwards straight in the eyes. "Lying about it does not only make you a coward, but it's also a slap in our faces." Edwards turns from red to purple. "In my country, a handshake holds no hidden meaning. Its only purpose is expressing politeness. We congratulated each other on a successful negotiation, nothing more. You get your fair cut every year." "You seem to have a short memory, my friend." My father leans forward, bracing his elbow on the desk. "Part of the deal was always that Angelo would enter the business when he graduates from university, and that we'd strengthen our mutual interests in blood." "You're mistaken," Edwards says, his voice rising in volume. "You act as if being tied to the Russo family is an insult." My father makes that statement like a challenge. It will only benefit you. He takes a stack of folded papers from his inside jacket pocket and slides it over the desk. I took the liberty of getting my lawyer to draw up a contract. They'll get married when she turns 18. But she can stay with us to acclimatize while Angelo finishes his MBA in Rome. Of course, she'll get a house in her name and a monthly allowance. Provision for the children born from their union, including expenses, education, trust funds, and such, has been stipulated. They won't want for anything. The marriage will be out of community of property, but in the unlikely event that my son decides to leave her, she will retain her property and possessions, and she will receive a handsome compensation. My father relaxes in his seat again. Take your time to look it over. Edwards doesn't as much as glance at the contract. You seem to have it all figured out. He sneers. What happens if she leaves him? In that case, she gets nothing. But let's not bring them bad luck by focusing on the negative aspects before we've even celebrated their engagement. As you know, divorce is highly unusual in my family. Engagement? Edwards exclaims. She's 16, for crying out loud. He points a finger at me. You're 20. Scornfully, he adds, correct me if I'm wrong. That's right, I drawl. I'm not asking to marry her straight away. Like my father, I prefer that she finishes school. I believe she's attending an excellent establishment with a prestigious reputation, and a good education is important to me. 4 years may seem like a big age difference now, but once she's an adult, the gap won't be significant. Aren't you 7 years older than your wife? All but choking on his spit, Edwards pushes back his chair. We didn't come to the birthday party of a 16-year-old girl with guns, but maybe we should have. When I make to get up, my father exchanges a look with me, wordlessly instructing me to let him handle it. They should announce their betrothal as soon as possible, he says in a placating tone. But the actual engagement doesn't have to take place until she's turned of legal age. In the meantime, it'll be wise to let them get to know each other. My father spreads his hands. The fact that I'm behaving so considerately and in the best interest of your daughter should reassure you. The laugh Edwards utters is cold. Reassure me? My father waves at the papers on the desk. If my promise isn't enough, the figures will surely satisfy you. Like I said, Edwards says, balling his hands on the desk. It's not going to happen. My daughter is independent. She has a free will. He slams a fist on his desk. She will marry when she's ready, and who she bloody well wants. The patience vanishes from my father's features. He stands. His smile is intact, but the quiet authority of his voice as he towers over Edwards leaves no uncertainty as to the outcome of this conversation. Take some time to share the happy news with her. I can see it won't be today. What's another few months if it'll help get her used to the idea? However, make no mistake, the wedding will happen. You made the bargain, and I'll hold you to it. Edwards jumps to his feet. He opens his mouth, but wisely thinks the better of whatever he was going to say, and shuts it again. He's got money, but we're the ones bargaining with fear. Our threats are never empty. The door is yanked open, cutting into the tense atmosphere. A thick-set woman with short auburn hair, wearing a burgundy silk dress, bulldozes into the room. Sabella hasn't come down yet, I swear. She stops short when she notices us, and quickly schools herself. Oh, I didn't know you were busy. Like gentlemen are taught to do when a woman enters a room, I get to my feet. Not that I'm anything of the kind. I just prefer the intimidating advantage of my height. When she cowers a little, I can't suppress a grin. My father bows. We were just done. He takes her hand and kisses her fingers without touching his lips to her skin. How are you, Margaret? Fine, thank you, she says with a stiff back. My father extends an arm toward me. This is my son, Angelo. I offer her a hand. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Edwards. Her fingers are limp in mine. She pulls away before we've properly shaken hands, regarding me with a downturned mouth. An awkward silence follows, which she breaks by asking my father, How is Teresa? In good health. My father inclines his head. She asked me to congratulate you on Sabella's birthday. She would have come, but this is a business trip for Angelo and me. The polite exchange is amusing. It's nothing but role play, a practiced stage act devised by civil society. Yet when cut down to the bone, we're all selfish monsters. Underneath the pretense, we only care about furthering our own agendas. Margaret pulls her lips into a pinch. Maybe next time. Maybe. My father shrugs. Who knows? Next time we may welcome you in Corsica. She glances at her husband with a question burning in her eyes. We've kept you from your guests, my father says. We should let you get back to them. Yes. Margaret looks both worried and relieved. We better go outside before our absence appears rude. Edwards comes around his desk and opens a door that exits onto the veranda. This way. We step aside for Margaret to go ahead. If you'll excuse us, she says when we're outside, I need a word with my husband. I know how taxing these affairs can be. My father takes a lighter from his pocket. Don't worry about us. We'll make ourselves at home. Frowning, she takes her husband's arm and leads him down the veranda and through the sliding doors. Before disappearing into the lounge, she looks over her shoulder with the expression of someone who's just stepped into dog shit. My father lights his cigarillo, takes a drag, and studies the crowd as he blows out the smoke. Like mine, his calmness is deceptive. Inside, I'm a fucking stick of dynamite with a burning fuse. No one promises me something and then takes it away. No one refuses me what's mine. It's a tactical mistake. Denying me only makes me want it twice as much. I'll not only fight 10 times harder to get it, but also as dirty as necessary. I can't say I didn't expect resistance after our cool reception at the office. I bargained on some negotiations and modifications of the terms of our contract. What I didn't foresee was Edwards's blunt refusal to honor an oath he'd made to my father. I remember his promise. I was there. No one fucks us over, and no one throws our generosity back in our faces. Our surname isn't Russo for nothing. That's the oldest sister, my father says, waving his cigarillo toward the people milling on the lawn. The one with the burgundy dress. I spot her easily. She's an attractive woman by classical standards. According to rumors, she's the beautiful one. When people talk about the sisters, they refer to Sabella as the other one. Takes after her mother, he muses. The man at her side is her fiancé. He's not involved in the business. Meaning he's no one to be worried about. That's not who I'm interested in. My gaze is drawn to Ryan Edwards, Benjamin's firstborn. Like I weigh him, he measures me from across the distance. We only met yesterday at his father's office, and we're already enemies. That's who you have to watch out for, my father says, following my gaze. He's the sole heir of Edwards's business. He won't be happy when he finds out he'll have to share the power. I'm not worried about Ryan Edwards. He may be 6 years older, but he's no match for me. He's soft and impassive, a man who doesn't like to get down and dirty when the work gets gritty. My dad coughs. I jut my chin toward the cigarillo. Should you be doing that? Grant an old man the small pleasures he has left, he says. But he does put the cigarillo out in an ashtray on the garden table. Want a drink? I need something to ease this scratch in my throat. Looking at the bar where rosé and champagne are cooling in ice buckets, I shake my head. I haven't touched the scotch Edwards poured. I'm too fucking livid, and alcohol only makes me more aggressive. Suit yourself, he says, making his way to the lawn where the waiters are circulating. In that case, you're driving. Brooding, I watch his back. I don't like the way he handled Edwards. He should have been firmer with him. Years ago, Edwards came to my father and asked him to help remove a few obstacles in his business. As an imports and exports broker, Edwards saw an opportunity to make money by letting illegal shipments enter the country via the port of Cape Town. He had the right connections. He had the capital to buy off the government officials and to pay the controllers to turn a blind eye. Our job was to get rid of the ones who stood in his way, the ones who couldn't be corrupted. The part we contributed, doing his dirty work for more than a decade, made him one of the big players in the industry. Today, he controls everything that comes and goes through Cape Town by sea. Yes, we get our cut, but we don't need the money. Not anymore. We've made enough. What we need is power, recognition, an open door into circles where those born with the right surname and status pull their noses up at us. We need to be in on the deals. That has always been the objective. As Edwards's son-in-law, I'll be rewarded shares and a position on the board of his company. As per the contract, he'd give me a fancy title and voting rights. Of his 3 children, Sabella is Edwards's favorite. She's been the apple of his eye since the day she was born. He makes no secret of it. He'll never do anything to jeopardize her future. Marrying her is the only sure way of getting my foot in the door and keeping it there. As soon as my seed is planted in her belly, and she gives me an heir, war will no longer be necessary. The Edwards family won't kill their grandchild's father. Correction, they won't hire an assassin to do it. Owning a stake in the company will give us access to information that will make us more powerful than the governments of the countries involved in Edwards' illegal smuggling. It will open a new avenue for us, giving us direct access to Africa. It will guarantee us unequaled leverage in negotiating terms with the companies that currently pay the government bribes to smuggle their illegal arms via the port of Durban in the KwaZulu-Natal province. We can have the government by the balls and secure kickbacks that will earn us a monopoly in Africa. Governments and arms dealers alike will have no one else to turn to but us. They'll be our puppets. The Russo family will rule. Our name will be revered. The only thing standing between that kind of power and my family is a 16-year-old girl. Edwards walks outside, searches the crowd, and heads toward where my father is standing at the edge of the lawn. Despite his bulk, his stride is lithe. I watch him like a tiger, ready to pounce. Once, my father was invincible. He could hold his own in any fist or gunfight. Now, he's old and growing weaker by the day. They fall into what looks like a tense discussion, but they're not ripping each other's heads off. How long is the princess going to wait before making her grand entry? As soon as the introductions are out of the way, we can get the fuck out of here. I won't see her for more than a couple of days per year until we move her to Corsica. I'm a devil, but I'm not a creep. I've never been into underage girls. The getting to know each other is my father's bright idea. If it was up to me, I'd just go into the whole thing cold turkey. I plunge a hand into my pocket and fold my fingers around the joint the hotel bellboy slipped me. The overdressed women with their lace, silk, and ostrich feathers bug me. Margaret's snobbish air of superiority, where she's mingling with the guests, is as irritating as hell. The pretentiousness of the whole lot gathered on the lawn, smiling and kissing Edwards' ass, grates on my nerves. Fuck, I need to get away. Making an impulsive decision, I walk down the length of the veranda and turn the corner. I need to get stoned before I lose my shit and rip someone to pieces.
Chapter 2. Just one more minute. I let a little air from my lungs and sink deeper into the cool water. The salt no longer burns my open eyes. A wedge of sun rays pierces the surface and fans out to the bottom. Bubbles catch the light. Like tiny beads of fragile glass, they stick to my arms and legs. Life under the water is muted, the sounds dispersed. The rhythmic ebb and flow of the break is a distant lullaby. The tide gently rocks me to that beat, forward and backward, push and pull. If I could, I'd stay here forever, but I can only hold my breath for so long. I swim up and gulp in air when I break the surface. Treading water, I catch my breath. It's warmer in the water than outside. The late afternoon sky already glows with a champagne-colored tint. The whining of a violin drifts down from our garden. It must be the string quartet Mom hired for the party. I'd rather make the most of the last hour of daylight and swim until my muscles cramp, then listen to Aunt Judith's critique of the latest performing arts drama, or pretend Uncle Fred hasn't told the story about how he walked into a bank robbery for the trillionth time. I'd give all my pocket money to sit on the sand and watch the bioluminescence in the water, instead of telling Aunt Mary that no, I'm not too thin, and yes, I'm eating enough. But this is my party, and I'm already in trouble for being late as it is. Unable to put the inevitable off longer, I swim to the shore and surf the waves to prevent myself from being tumbled and crushed in the roaring mass of foam. Once my feet touch ground, I waddle out of the water. The fine sand is dusted with flecks of gold. The shallow water is like a magnifying glass on the shiny particles that once upon a time were majestic shells and pearly abalone. I dig my toes into the wet sand, enjoying the tickle as the water pulls back and the sand sucks my feet deeper. A breeze picks up from the sea. Goosebumps run over my arms. A woman's shrill laughter pierces the music coming from the hill, reminding me that guests are waiting. Pulling my feet from the soft suction of the sand with a sigh, I run to the cave at the foot of the cliff where I left my clothes. Hurriedly, I pull my denim cutoffs and shirt on over my bikini. The thin linen doesn't do much to warm me. In the darkness of the cave, the sand is cold and the musty air is humid. I should have brought a sweater, but I wasn't planning on staying so late. The tide has come in. The river that feeds the lagoon flows too strongly now to swim across. On the other side of the river, a bridge spans over the lagoon to connect the beach with the island. Another bridge at the back of the island leads to the main road that runs to town. A 90-degree bend on the right diverts to the beachfront. Our mansion stands on the highest hill at the end of that road, right on the edge, overlooking the massive dunes and a stretch of sand so long you can see Glentana in the north and Mossel Bay in the south. Instead of going via the road, I climb straight up the steep side of the biggest dune. It's high, and by the time I'm 3/4 up, I'm panting from the exertion. The vegetation that caps the top is dense. I have to crawl down the secret footpath I've walked out over the years. The Fane boss forms a tunnel around me until I exit on the other side. From here, I veer left and jog around the edge of the outcrop until I reach the tar road. Our house can only be accessed from the back of the hill. I circle the hilltop and cut across the neighborhood via a smaller road. As I turn the corner, a sound coming from one of the trash cans on the pavement stops me. Going closer, I pause and listen. There it is again, a faint scratching. My pulse quickens. It can be a snake, but it can also be a hedgehog trapped inside. Carefully, I throw back the lid and peer over the top, my body poised for action, and then my heart melts on the spot. A small, furry face with big yellow eyes and long white whiskers stares up from the trash. His fur is black, except for a white patch over his left eye. At the sight of me, the kitten mewls. For such a tiny thing, the cry he pushes from his chest is loud. He tries to claw his way outside, only to sink deeper. From the state of the torn bags and the waste spilling out of them, he's been trying to get out for a while. "You poor thing," I exclaim, reaching inside and carefully lifting him out. He's so tiny, I can feel his fragile ribs beneath the softness of his fur. His little heart is pounding between my palms. He mewls even louder, pawing at the air. "There now." I hug him to my chest and stroke his head. "You're safe." The kitten settles with a purr that vibrates in his rib cage. He mewls again, hauntingly this time, and instinctively I know the little creature is hungry. He's too small for solid food. He needs milk. As I huddle the hungry, helpless animal, trying my best to soothe him, anger heats my blood. Who abandons a kitten and throws him away with the trash? I have a good mind to knock on the door of the house and give them a piece of my mind, but anyone could have driven here and left the kitten in the trash can. Besides, the priority is feeding him. But how do I smuggle him into the house? My mom will have a fit if she finds out. A few cardboard boxes are stacked next to the trash can. I go through them until I find one that's clean and empty before lowering my charge inside. He protests loudly at being separated from the heat of my body. "Don't worry," I stroke his back. "I won't leave you. I promise." His claws are minuscule but sharp. I earn a scratch on my hand for my efforts. After some petting, the kitten calms again. "I'll call you Pirate. That's a cool name, right?" Pirate doesn't like his new prison. He puts his front paws on the side of the box and tries to climb out. "Don't be scared," I say, closing the flaps. "You just have to stay in there for a little while." Pirate mewls again when I straighten with the box in my arms. I ignore the little meows of distress, making my way home as fast as I can without jostling him. The double gates that give access to our property are closed. The driveway leading up to the house is visible through the bars. The front parking is already packed with luxury cars. After ensuring that no one is hanging around the entrance, I fish my key from my pocket and let myself in through the pedestrian gate before sneaking around the side of the house. Caterers carry crates of food from a cool truck parked on a strip of paving. On the front lawn where the guests are mingling, waiters are serving champagne and oysters. Aunt Judith, my late grandmother's sister, stands at the edge of the garden, wearing a powder blue lace dress and matching hat. She talks animatedly, waving an empty champagne glass to emphasize whatever point she's making. My sister Matilda faces her with a solemn face, dressed in a mauve silk dress and matching heels with a short string of pearls around her neck. Maddie looks older than her 18 years. Her fiancé Jared stands like a puppet in his tux at her side, offering a stiff smile to anyone who makes eye contact. A man I don't know talks to Dad. Dad slips a finger into his collar and cracks his neck. It looks as if his bow tie is already strangling him. Great. How am I going to get through this evening? Falling into step behind one of the caterers, I manage to arrive at the side door that the staff used to access the kitchen without being spotted by any of the guests. Just as I exhale a sigh of relief, Doris, our housekeeper, waggles through the door. Blotchy patches redden her cheeks, and perspiration shines on her forehead. She shuffles down the path, waving a dishcloth in the air. "Hey, you! Yes, you with the mustache! Come back here!" I duck, trying to make myself small, but the man I'm using as a shield steps aside to let her pass, and thereby exposes me. When her gaze falls on me, her eyes bulge. Her face turns pink as she takes in my state. "It's about time you show your face," she says with a scowl. "You should have been ready 2 hours ago. What an insolent girl you are." She points toward the kitchen. "Get inside now before I call Mrs. Edwards." Throwing her arms in the air, she hurries on her way. "Hey, you, are you deaf? I told you to wait. We need more ice." Holding my breath, I glance at Doris's retreat from over my shoulder. She's in such a flat spin with the party arrangements that she didn't pay attention to the box in my hands. "Where the hell is your manager?" she asks the poor man she cornered. "You're running late with the starters." Grabbing his arm, she drags him in the direction of the cooler truck. "This won't do. It won't do at all. It's not my job to—" Her ranting trails off as she and the man disappear around the corner. "Not in the mood for the party either?" Someone with a deep voice and a slight foreign accent asks. I turn my face toward the voice, and then everything inside me goes still. The guy leaning on the wall next to the door is both the most arresting and scariest male specimen I've seen. With a square jaw and strong nose, his angular face is strikingly handsome. Yet at a certain angle there's a harshness to those lines. Tall and broad, with hair as black as coal and a skin with a Mediterranean coloring, he looks like a character who emerged straight from a fantasy book. From a different world. He can be either a fallen angel or a demon, depending on his mood. Right now, with the tilt to his lips, he leans toward the angelic side, but rather an archangel with a sword decapitating dragons than an angel with soft white wings. If he scowls, he'll look more like a demon. He's so beautiful, so utterly perfectly created that something twists in my stomach. He's dark like the ocean and breathless like water. That's how I'd describe him if I could only use one word. Water. However, it's not his external beauty that makes my heart skid to a complete stop before resuming to beat like a drum in my chest. It's the energy surrounding him, a vibe of danger and deadly allure. He looks 19 or 20 maybe, but there's a worldly air to him that makes him seem older and more experienced. Even as my pulse spikes and awareness contracts my skin, instinct tells me he's the kind of guy I should stay away from. Yet I stand rooted to the spot. What can I say? It's not my fault I'm a Capricorn with a sea goat star sign who's attracted to water. With one hand shoved into the pocket of his slacks and his knee bent, his pose is relaxed. It's just acting, though. Tension oozes from his pores. I'm good at feeling people. He chuckles at my silence. I guess not. Giving myself an internal shake, I try to remember what he asked.
Not in the mood for the party either.
He's not wearing a tux, but his formal slacks and jacket tell me he's a guest. The pang in my belly intensifies. I recognize the sentiment with a start. Regret. Regret that I don't know him. Regret that I won't. Already regretting that I'll listen to my mind, even though my heart loves water. "What are you doing here?" I ask in a hostile tone, designed to mask my overwhelming reaction to him. "This entrance is for staff only." He lifts his free hand, showing me a joint. Beneath the collar of the white shirt that's open to the third button, his chest is visible. Just the glimpse is enough to hint at well-defined pecs. He's inked, the top of the tattoo that's showing jet black. I can make out the decorative curls of a border. I wish I could see the whole picture. Where it ends, his broad shoulders taper to a narrow waist. The tailored pants and the fitted cut of the shirt, where his jacket falls open, show off his lean shape. He's a good dresser. I know all about understated elegance. Mom drilled it into me. I drag my gaze back to his face, lest I give him the impression that I'm staring. His full lips stretch, revealing straight white teeth, set off by the olive tone of his skin. He observes me with eyes blacker than onyx, which are framed by long, dark lashes and thick eyebrows. Running a gaze over me, he weighs me in turn. When he lingers for a couple of seconds on my breasts, my heart does something funny in my chest. My shirt is still wet in patches, particularly where it's plastered to my boobs. The red bikini top is visible underneath, as is the dip of my stomach, where he fixes his attention next.
"You don't look old enough to be a waitress,"
he says, finishing his evaluation by inspecting my legs.
"How young are they hiring these days?"
I don't correct him. If he knows how young I really am, he won't give me another ounce of his attention. Although walking away is without a doubt the wiser option, I don't want to turn my back on him. Not just yet. His lips quirk, amusement sparking in his eyes.
"Has the cat got your tongue, Bella?"
A jolt runs through me. How does he know my name? Only my family and close friends call me Bella. But no, he said it differently. He said it like a term of endearment. I know what Bella in that context means, and it warms my chest with a pleasant heat. "You have an accent," I say.
"French-Italian."
"Are you from Italy or France?"
"Corsica."
"You speak English very well."
"My mother insisted that we learn from a young age. It's important to speak it for business."
His cryptic and polite answers are a clear sign that he's getting bored with the conversation. I should go, but I linger, unable to pull myself away. I wish I could speak a foreign language.
"Shouldn't you be working?"
he asks, nodding at the box in my hands. His animosity gets my hackles up. "Shouldn't you be mingling with the guests?" He grins. Taking a Zippo lighter from his pocket, he taps the joint against the metal.
"Parties are boring, but birthday parties are the worst."
He casts another glance at my unsuitable attire.
"You obviously agree."
Although I do share his sentiment, I can't help but turn defensive. "Then why did you come?" Bringing the joint to his mouth, he watches me from the slits of his eyes as he lights it. He inhales and blows out a thin line of smoke.
"Business."
The smoke twists into a ribbon before dispersing in the air, leaving the pungent odor of weed behind. Business? Was I wrong about him being a guest? Are you with the caterers? He laughs.
My father and Mr. Edwards are business associates.
Studying me through the thick lashes of his hooded eyes as he takes another drag of the joint, he adds, after blowing out the smoke,
Of sorts.
So you're only here for business reasons, I say, my ego unjustifiably bruised.
That's how it would seem.
I fail to keep the sarcasm from my voice. I can see how that must suck for you. He shrugs.
It comes with the territory.
When I don't reply, he holds the joint out to me. I shake my head. I don't smoke.
Do you drink?
My parents let me have a little wine or champagne on important occasions. Not often. His voice drops an octave.
Good.
He carries on smoking while I just stand there, racking my brain for something to say. Turning his face, he looks at me as if to ask why I'm still there.
You better run inside and get to work.
I don't like the way he speaks to me. I resent how he thinks he can order me around. Most of all, I hate how easily he dismisses me. When he stubs the joint out on the wall and flicks the butt in the party trash that's piling up next to the door, I know he's going to walk away. And I don't want him to. I stall by using what my feminine intuition tells me will get his attention. Defiance. No, I say, lifting my chin. His eyes flare as if he doesn't hear that word often. I won't jump because you told me to. I continue. He pushes off the wall.
What did you say to me?
Standing taller, I tap into my confidence that usually comes naturally but for some reason now has failed me. Why must I go? You leave if you don't want me here. You shouldn't have picked this spot if you were hoping to smoke your drugs without being caught, which is completely not cool. Not smoking in secret, but smoking at all, especially drugs. It makes you totally uncool. Shit. Can I just shut up now? His dark eyes widen with humor rather than anger. A smile flirts with his lips. He's laughing at me. How embarrassing. I don't wait for his reply. My intention is making a grand exit while I still have some dregs of dignity left to cling to. But just as I turn toward the kitchen, my mom walks through the door. Double shit. Sabella Daphne Edwards. She grabs my arm, her nails cutting into my skin. Where have you been? Her face pales as she takes me in. My goodness, look at you. This is too much. She gives me a not too gentle shake. I've had it with you. The stranger slides his gaze toward the lawn, where white and pink balloons arch around silver blown-up numbers, writing 16 in the center. His lips curve into a full smile, as he no doubt puts 2 and 2 together. I nearly die of humiliation. My mom is really upset with me this time, so much so she doesn't notice the young man standing to the side, while catering staff enter and exit the house like a steady file of ants. Get inside! She lets go of my arm and grabs the box from my hands. Now! Wait! I cry out, trying to take back the box. You'll drop it. My mom holds the box out of reach. What have you done now? Nothing, I swear. Pursing her lips, she opens the flap. His name is Pirate, I say, talking so fast my tongue trips over the words. Please, you have to let me keep him. My mom holds the box at arm's length. You know I'm allergic to cats. Please, I press my palms together in a begging gesture. It's the only birthday gift I want. I'll never ask you for anything else. My mom flicks her fingers. Miraculously, a staff member appears at her side. Put this in the guest bathroom upstairs. She thrusts the box at the man who's one of our gardeners. "We'll take it to the SPCA tomorrow."
"No,"
the stranger says, the word loaded with so much authority that both my mom and the gardener freeze. I don't know who's more surprised, my mom or me. My mom spins around and gives a start when her gaze falls on the guy. She looks between us, suspicion tightening her eyes. "What are you doing here at the back of the house?" He steps up and takes the box from the gardener.
"I was just giving Sabela her birthday present."
Reeling, my mother says in a high-pitched voice, "Excuse me?" Carefully, he hands the box back to me.
"If I'd known you were allergic, Mrs. Edwards, I would have included antihistamines with the gift. It's an easy enough problem to solve and a small sacrifice to pay for Sabela's happiness."
He adds with a mocking smile,
"I'm sure you'll forgive me for the oversight."
My mom's nostrils flare. Her chest rises as she inhales sharply. Seemingly unable to string together words to make a sentence, she flicks her fingers again, at which the gardener slips away as fast as he appeared. "Well," my mom says, giving me a narrow-eyed look, "you better go settle your new pet and get ready. You've kept everyone waiting long enough. I'll tell Maddie to help you get dressed so that your guests don't have to wait another hour." Turning up her nose, she leaves as regally as her high heels allow. I'm shocked to a standstill, unable to believe my luck. Gaping at the handsome stranger, I say with all the sincerity I possess, "Thank you." A hint of warmth softens the harsh blackness of his eyes.
"You're welcome, Kara."
My stomach flutters at yet another term of endearment. "Why did you do it?" His statement is casual, but the words are loaded.
"Because you should get what you want for your birthday."
Your business must be really important to my dad. My mom never gives in like that. He shoves a hand in his pocket and glances at the party-goers.
"There are only old people here. Don't you have friends?"
"I'm not socially awkward and incapable of making friends, if that's what you're implying," I say with a grin.
"I'd never be so crass,"
he deadpans.
"I'm just wondering why they're not invited."
"Everyone is away for the big summer holiday," I pout. "If it wasn't for this party, I would have been in Plettenberg Bay with them right now." His expression darkens.
"Alone?"
"I wish." I make a face. My brother and his wife would have gone along to chaperone.
"Ah."
Some of his tenseness evaporates.
"If it makes you feel better, I could have been skiing in the Alps."
"Really?" That pang of defensiveness hits me again. "You must be very disappointed about missing out on that."
"Not so much now. The view here is very nice."
I laugh. "Nice?"
"A lot more than I expected."
My breathing quickens. I'm new at the nuances of our game, but I like playing it with him.
"Can I see?"
he asks, motioning at the box. "Oh!" His interest in pirate makes me happy, giddily so. "Of course." I lift the flap. We both peer into the box, our heads close together. His cologne is a blend of something woodsy and citrusy, a subtle perfume that makes me want to bury my face in his neck and inhale the fragrance of his skin. He tickles Pirate under the chin and chuckles when the kitten purrs, but I'm not focused on the cat. I'm too aware of our proximity and how good he smells.
"He's cute,"
he says, raising his gaze to mine. I clear my throat. He is. A weird, almost calculated look comes over his face.
"Who gave him to you?"
I found him in a trash can on my way home. At that, his features relax.
I'm glad he found a good home.
I'm sorry about earlier, I say on impulse as a fresh bout of gratitude washes over me. I was rude. The smile he offers me is so warm and unguarded. It not only makes me feel as if the sun is shining on my face, but also that I'm special to him.
I'm sorry for mistaking you for a waitress,
he says.
I should have asked instead of assumed.
Quits?
Quits,
he agrees, his dark gaze piercing mine. My blood heats under the intensity of his stare. No one has ever looked at me with so much possession. No man has ever smiled at me as if I'm valuable and important. Slowly, something serious replaces the warmth of his expression, something predatory and carnal. I know he's aware of how close we're standing, invading each other's personal space. I'm out of my depth, unequipped for what's passing through his eyes, but I can't make myself move. He acts first, not stepping away, but closer still, so close that the box is pressed between us. Raising his arm, he brushes his fingertips over my temple and hooks my hair behind my ear. The touch is so gentle it's barely there, but it jolts me. It ripples over my entire body, covering every inch of my skin in goosebumps.
Happy birthday, Kara,
he says in that deep, low voice with a hint of an accent. A beat passes in which I hold my breath, although I'm not sure for what. And then he backs off, putting space between us. It physically hurts. Whether it's the distance or his proximity, it aches with the same intensity, leaving a hollow sensation in my stomach and a fluttering in my temples. My heart thumps and my knees are wobbly. It's confusing. I both want to burrow against his chest and run away from the fiercely wonderful and scary feelings. Worried that he'll notice my weakness, I flee inside the house, miraculously managing an unwavering smile from over my shoulder. But he's already strolling away with his hands shoved in his pockets and his gaze trained on the horizon. Just when my heart is about to sink, he looks back. I'm so ecstatic, I don't care he caught me staring, because I caught him too. For the first time in my life, I hurry to make myself pretty.
Chapter 3. Possession flows in my veins when I leave Sabella to dress and walk back to the party. The heady cocktail of ownership and responsibility sends a thrill through my body and rushes like a drug to my brain. The sentiments are foreign and unexpected. I've taken care of our pets since a young age, but a human has never been dependent on me. Up to yesterday, Sabella Edwards was an abstract concept. I gambled with the element of surprise, and it's not shock that won. Far from it. What I saw pleased me. A lot. Seeing her triggered something in me. Marrying her is no longer a blurry picture with intangible edges. The prospect is real. She's not an image of a person with indistinguishable features. She's a young woman, of flesh and blood, and a stunning one at that. The knowledge that this beautiful girl is mine fills me not only with pride, but also with a heavy dose of jealousy. She's a looker, and she doesn't know it. Not yet. Soon, however, she'll grow aware of her beauty and the power she can hold over men. Take me, for example. Not even 5 minutes into meeting her, I've already broken my promise to myself. I've touched her when I knew better. She's an innocent girl, with the curves of a woman. Only a dead man wouldn't notice those firm breasts, tight ass, and long legs. Her body is like a succulent fruit on the verge of ripening, soon to be ready for the picking. The thought alone is enough to make me see green when I think about the distance I'll be putting between us tomorrow, and how many horny boys may show up on her doorstep while I'm fighting this war with her father. I'll have to send a man to keep an eye on her, our most loyal and trusted man. The decision eases my worry, although only marginally. Back on the front lawn, I look for my father among the throng of people. Finally, I spot him sitting on a bench in a secluded corner of the veranda. His face is as white as chalk, and he's coughing into his handkerchief. Alarm triples my pulse. I make it to him in a few long strides and pour a glass of water from the nearest pitcher. Shoving the glass into his hand, I block him from potentially curious spectators with my body. "Drink," I say, glancing around to gauge if anyone is looking, but no one takes notice. He manages to swallow a sip, which helps to calm the coughing, and hands the glass back while resting his head on the wall and breathing through his mouth. "Come." I put the glass on the table and take his arm, helping him to his feet. "Don't let them see you like this." Unable to speak, he nods his agreement and lets me guide him back to the car. We're barely inside before another bout of coughing racks his shoulders. I reach in the back for his inhaler, but he shakes his head. "Leave it. It'll pass." Stubborn bastard. You have nothing to prove by refusing your medicine. No one will think you are weak for taking it. He sucks air through his teeth and forces the words from a wheezy chest. "I just need a moment." Arguing is fruitless. My father is nothing if not hard-headed and proud. I start the car and drive to the gates. At the intercom on the inside of the garden, I push the button. A beat later, the gates open as someone in the house, presumably one of the staff, lets us out. Etiquette states leaving without saying goodbye to the host is an unforgivable rudeness, but Edwards declared himself our enemy tonight, and you never show your enemy your weakness. Keeping one eye on my father and the other on the road, I take the turn toward George. He winds down the window and takes a few deep breaths of the cool air. By the time the lights of the airport come into view, the attack has passed, and his muscles are slack again. "You should call your doctor," I say. "You need to see him when we get home." He dismisses the idea with a flick of his hand. "Nothing but a waste of time." Shooting me a look, he says, "Not a word about this to your mother." "You shouldn't hide this from her." "What's the point of making her worry? It's not going to change anything." I clench the wheel. I both agree and disagree with that statement, but I respect his decision. It's what I would have wanted if I'd been in his position. "I'm sorry," he says, staring through his window toward the distance where the hills swell in the moonlight. It's such a rare occurrence for my father to apologize that I'm not sure how to reply. All I can say is, "It's not your fault." His voice hardens. "I meant that we had to leave before Sabella made her appearance." "I met her." He looks at me. "We ran into each other by accident," I explain. "She tried to slip into the back of the house without being noticed." The corners of his mouth pulled down. "She doesn't seem like a very obedient daughter." Feeling compelled to defend her, I say, "She was rescuing an abandoned kitten." He makes a non-committal sound. "What was your impression?" I consider my answer. "She likes me, surprisingly. I think I can make her fall in love with me. It won't be very difficult." He contemplates my answer, studying the road in the headlights of the car.
That will certainly win you her agreement to marry you, but emotions are fickle. You can't trust love alone to seal such an important deal. From what I've heard, she's close to her father. If he doesn't consent, she may refuse to marry you for not wanting to disappoint him or evoke his disapproval. If Edwards was the only stumbling block, it would have been easy enough to simply get rid of him, but if he dies before you've taken possession of your share of the company, Ryan will inherit everything. No, he muses. We need Edwards to agree. We need a much stronger incentive than love. I hit the brakes and slowed down to the speed limit as we approached the golf estate. A guard signs us in at the gates. Drumming my fingers on the wheel, I contemplate our situation. Edwards isn't pulling out of the deal he made only because he doesn't want his princess to marry a lowly, filthy Russo with blood and sins on his hands. Edwards doesn't want to share his power and fortune. He doesn't strike me as a man who gives in easily. A little arm wrestling won't be enough to sway him. No. Edwards declared war, and war requires a much more radical approach. I won't rest until what's been promised me is mine. I park in front of the hotel and cut the engine. My voice is flat, my mind made up. Leave it to me. I'll handle Edwards. We have to call a meeting with your uncles. They should be involved.
Turning in my seat, I face my father. Sabella is my responsibility. It's my problem, not a family matter.
You're young. There's a lot about the business you've yet to learn. Edwards may look docile, but he's shrewder and more dangerous than what you think.
I smile. Then this is the perfect opportunity to prove my worth. You taught me. Now's a good time to show our family you trust me. In the moonlight that sifts through the window, the shadows under his eyes are deep.
Fate is forcing you to take on too much too soon. You shouldn't have to fill my shoes when your life is only starting. Let your uncles help.
I'll deal with this my way. If it doesn't work out, we'll involve your brothers. He chuckles and grips my shoulder.
There's no question about it. You're undoubtedly my son.
His expression sobers.
Don't underestimate Edwards. That will be a mistake.
Don't worry. I open the door and get out. I have no intention of making mistakes. If Edwards thinks he's seen the worst of what and who we are, he's in for an unpleasant surprise. He unleashed the devil in me. Soon enough, he'll face that monster.
Chapter 4. Maddie's voice pulls me from my reverie.
Bella, what are you doing? Why aren't you in the shower? Mom is having a nervous breakdown, and what's in that box you're carrying?
She shudders.
I swear I just heard something scratching inside.
Mechanically, I look at my sister, but my heart stayed behind, on the side of the house next to the trash cans. I have a frightful, terrifying feeling that's where it's bound to stay. Forever. She frowns.
What's with that look on your face?
I try to school my features.
What look? That goofy look?
Nothing. Narrowing her eyes, she darts to the back door and looks around the door frame. When she pulls back into the scullery, her lips are pursed and her forehead pleated, making her resemble Mom more than ever.
Come,
she says, taking my arm.
Let's get you cleaned up.
She pulls up her nose.
At least as best as we can.
For once, I don't argue. I couldn't be bothered about the outfit my mom chose for the party, but now I'm glad the dress makes me look older. It's between burgundy and mauve, like my mom's and Maddie's, but 2 shades lighter, delicate lace overlays a silk slip and ties with a sash around my waist. With the heels, I'll be as tall as Maddie. I follow my sister to my room where I build a bed for Pirate with my softest blanket, while she turns the water in the shower on to run warm. Fishing my phone from my pocket, I dial the 24-hour emergency veterinary clinic in George, and after describing my dilemma, order a delivery. George is a big town, but still small enough for everyone to know everyone. The receptionist doesn't argue when I tell her who I am and that my dad will settle the bill. Reassured that milk for Pirate will arrive in 20 minutes, I give him a little water and get ready as fast as I can. My eagerness has nothing to do with the tantrum my mom is going to throw, and everything with the guy who gave me the best birthday gift in the world. I want him to see me in my new dress with my hair and makeup done properly. For the first time in my life, I want to look feminine and desirable. Doris knocks on the door with Pirate's bottle and milk, while Maddie is curling my hair. My sister utters a curse when I abandon my post in front of the mirror to mix the milk and give Pirate the bottle. He kneads my wrist with his paws as he greedily gulps down the milk until not a drop is left. The fact that his tummy is full reminds me that he'll need a litter tray, but when I ask Maddie to call the clinic, she says a little sand from the garden in a shoebox will have to suffice, because she has better things to do, such as finishing my hair. By the time Pirate dozes off curled up on the blanket, Maddie has finished my makeup. I study my reflection in the mirror with a critical eye. My hair doesn't have Maddie's auburn tint, but the dark tresses are thick and glossy. The many hours I spent outdoors have darkened my skin. A few white sunspots mark my arms and legs, but my cheeks have a healthy glow, and the color of the dress shows off my tan. Maddie rolls her eyes when I wipe off the red lipstick and replace it with a dab of gloss. It makes my lips look fuller. "Ready?" she asks with a note of irritation. I left Jared alone with the vultures. Dabbing away the excess gloss with a tissue, I smile at her in the reflection of the mirror. I'm sure he'll survive for an hour. I check on Pirate one last time before dashing after Maddie down the stairs. It's dark already. The garden is lit with fairy lights that are draped around the trees and lanterns that are burning on the tables. Going on tiptoes on the terrace, I scan the crowd. "He left," Maddie says in a dry tone. I feign ignorance. "Who?" "Angelo." So that's his name. It's fitting. "Angelo who?" I ask, enjoying the sound of his name on my tongue. "Russo." "Where's he staying?" I ask, trying to sound nonchalant. "At the guest house or at a hotel?" Her manner is curt. "He went home." Disappointment surges through me. He won't see me in my dress. He couldn't even wait until the end of the party. Corsica is on the other side of the world. I may never see him again. "It's a good thing he left," she says. "He had no business showing up at a family event." "Wasn't he invited?" "He and his father invited themselves. Dad only told them to come because it was the polite thing to do." "How come you know so much anyway?" "Ryan told me." Maddie steps in front of me, cutting off my view. "He's trouble, Bella, with a big T." "I wasn't even looking for him." "Right." She crosses her arms. "Stay away from him and his family. They're bad people." "How can you say that? You don't even know him." "Do you remember that guy in primary school, the one who always had scruff here?" She draws a finger around the base of her neck. "He got his school uniforms from the trunk with the second-hand throwaways in the gymnasium. His jersey had holes under the armpits." I frown. "Isaac?" "Yes, Angelo is like him. Well, not in the way he was dressed tonight, but his family comes from the same place as Isaac's family." I liked Isaac.
He was clever and better with math than anyone in school, and he was good with animals. He was really kind to the stray cats who lived in the drain pipes behind the toilets. She sighs. Just trust me when I tell you that the Russo family is the worst kind of bad. I want to say they can't be that bad if Dad considers them good enough to do business with, but my dad walks up with a proud smile. He kisses my cheek.
You look beautiful, darling.
My mom follows short on his heels, stumbling her way over the grass. You almost ruined everything, Sabella. I'm only glad no one decided to leave. Taking my arm, my father says,
Shall we make the toast?
When Mom doesn't look, he winks at me. I'm not so enthusiastic now that he has left. To be honest, I'm a little hurt. Fine, a lot. The evening has lost its sparkle. I only endure the party for the sake of my parents. Like a good hostess, I do the rounds and talk to the guests, offer them refreshments, and listen politely to Uncle Fred's story about the bank robbery. When it's time to open my gifts, I blow out a quiet sigh of relief. That means the cake will soon be cut and served with coffee, which announces the end of the party. The Russo family gifted me an intricate gold bracelet shaped like interlinked daisies with a diamond in each flower's center. It's exquisite. They must be loaded. If Dad felt obliged to invite them to my party, they must be very important to his business. He never invites his colleagues or associates home. He doesn't believe in mixing business and pleasure. Everyone admires the bracelet, except my mom. She seems upset about the fact that I like it so much, but it's only because she doesn't want anyone's gift to outshine hers. My parents' gift is a grand piano wrapped in white velvet and tied with a gigantic pink ribbon. I've never played the piano, and I don't have the talent to or ever will. When I point that out to Mom, she says the piano will make a good impression in my living room one day, and that I have lots of friends who can entertain me by playing. By lots of friends, she means Colin, my childhood friend and neighbor. None of my other friends are musically talented. Colin and I were born a week apart, and we were in the same class for the whole of primary school. We were only separated in high school because my parents sent me to a girls-only private school, while Colin got shipped to the boys' school. My mom is still secretly hoping we'll marry one day. Fat chance. Colin is like a brother to me. After the lychee sponge cake topped with a rose-flavored ganache has been served, I stand in the entrance and dutifully shake each person's hand as I thank them for coming. By the time I finally close the door, I can hardly stand on my feet. Despite my tiredness, a strange listlessness comes over me. Kicking off the heels that pinch my toes, I wander aimlessly through the empty house. The catering team has already removed the hired cocktail tables and tidied up. It's what I pay for, my mom always says with a grateful sigh when she wakes up the next morning with a slight hangover in a clean house. My feet carry me automatically to Dad's study. Saying goodnight has been a habit since I was little. He always works for an hour or two when everyone's gone to bed, never making any exceptions, not even on weekends or after parties. My mom's heated voice comes through the wood before I even reach the door. I'm not going to say I told you so, but I did warn you not to do business with those people. You can't let this happen.
I won't, my dad grumbles. Now give it a rest.
Give it a rest, she exclaims. Nothing good is going to come from this.
You stick to your business and I'll manage mine.
You mean run your household and raise your kids, but don't have an opinion when it comes to how your business impacts our lives?
Don't be so dramatic, for heaven's sake. I'll take care of it. Don't I always?
Dramatic? Her voice quivers.
Sometimes, Benjamin Edwards, you can be a patronizing son of a bitch.
A moment later, the door flies open in my face. I bounce back as my mom charges through the doorframe, her face streaked with black mascara. She glares at me before flouncing down the hallway on her bare feet with her heels swinging in one hand. I don't take her animosity personally. She simply doesn't like showing weakness. No one is allowed to witness her in any state of dress or composure that isn't perfect. I've never seen her in PJs or without her makeup. She's always immaculately groomed when she comes downstairs in the morning. Hesitantly, I put my head around the doorframe. My dad sits behind his desk, scribbling in his little black book. I knock to make him aware of my presence. As always, he closes the book and puts it in his top left drawer. "Am I interrupting?" I ask. He smiles, but the usual easy tilt of his mouth is strained.
"Never."
I throw a thumb in the direction of Mom's flight. "I couldn't help but overhear some of that."
"All of it?"
he asks with alarm. I frown. "Only the last part. Is everything okay?" He sighs.
"Come here. Don't look so worried. You know your mother overreacts when she's tired."
That's not an understatement. I enter the room and inhale the familiar fragrance of wood polish and leather. When I was little, I used to fall asleep on the sofa while my dad was working. I'd always wake up with a blanket covering me, feeling safe and protected. I'd lie awake and listen to the sound of his pencils scratching over the paper. My dad is old-fashioned when it comes to computers. He's still scribbling in his notebook instead of using the programs Ryan installed on his laptop. Flopping down on the sofa, I tuck my legs under me. "I don't like it when you fight." He comes over and takes a seat next to me.
"It's a silly disagreement. Tomorrow it'll be forgotten."
"I hope it's not because of me."
"Why would you think that?"
"I ruined the party for Mom, didn't I?" Pinching my cheek, he says,
"You were perfect. Did you have fun?"
I hate lying to my dad, so I simply shrug. He winces.
"I'm sorry about the piano. Your mother wouldn't be dissuaded."
"It's okay." I grin and rest my head on his shoulder. "I can use it as a table when I get my own apartment one day." A soft laugh shakes his body.
"Don't let your mother hear that."
Taking a small box from his pocket, he puts it in my lap.
"I have something for you."
I sit up quickly and look at his handsome face, gratitude warming my heart. "You shouldn't have." He waves away my protest.
"Open it."
A smile splits my face as I flip back the lid to reveal a delicate gold chain with a sea turtle pendant. "Oh, Dad!" I throw my arms around his neck and hug him. "Thank you. It's gorgeous."
"I thought you'd like it,"
he says with a conspiratorial wink when I let him go. I caress the lines of the pendant. "I love it."
"Good."
He pats my hand.
"That's all that matters."
"Did you hear about the kitten?"
"Your mother told me."
Hiding my expression by pretending to study the pendant, I probe carefully. "I thought you didn't invite business associates to family gatherings."
"I don't. They happened to be in town for a meeting. Extending an invite couldn't be avoided."
"You say it as if you don't like them."
"Sabella."
The rare use of my full name makes me look at him.
"You have to stay away from that boy. He's no good for you. Do you understand?"
"Why?" I ask, my voice hoarse.
"He has a reputation. Trust me when I tell you he's not the kind of man you want in your life."
My dad has always been strict about letting me go out with boys, especially boys older than me.
"I don't want you to mix with him or any of his family. Do you understand?" he asks again. I absolutely forbid it."
He's never spoken to me so sternly. Swallowing, I nod.
"Good," he says. "Now go get some sleep."
I kiss his cheek and wish him good night, leaving him to his work. An odd sensation nestles in the pit of my stomach as I walk through the dark, deserted house to my room. I can't explain what happened tonight. I only know that my solid, trustworthy mind is no longer in control. Somewhere between sunset and now, my heart became the master of my decisions.
Chapter 5. An hour before dawn, I pull on a tracksuit and search my hotel room for items suitable for a kidnapping. I settle on a laundry bag and one of my socks. The thick black bag won't let light through, and the sock won't leave marks. Then I scribble a note on the hotel stationery to inform my father that I'm going for a jog on the beach. After slipping the note under his door, I snatch a pair of golf gloves from the kiosk in reception on my way out. In the car, I pull the address I'd taken from the HR records at Edwards' office up on the GPS. Selecting the shortest route, I head out to an affluent neighborhood on the outskirts of George and park in front of a modern house that overlooks the valley. The morning is misty, the sun battling to break through the clouds on the horizon. Cows graze on the green hills behind the sea. I switch on the car heater to defog the windscreen. While I wait, I fire off an email from my phone, instructing our best man to head on the next available flight to South Africa. I give him detailed instructions and demand a daily report. I'm finishing an email to clear the payment for his expenses when the door of the house across the street opens and Edwards' junior accountant steps out. Elijah Johnson is a short, thin man with manicured nails and perfectly styled brown hair. He wears skinny pants and a Karl Lagerfeld jacket with a matching waistcoat. Transferring a leather satchel from one hand to the other, he checks his wristwatch and hurries to a BMW parked in the driveway. He gets behind the wheel and inspects his reflection in the rearview mirror before pulling out of the yard. I wait until he's turned the corner, and then I don the gloves, start the engine, and follow at a reasonable distance. When he hits the secondary road that runs through the empty field before joining the national road that goes to town, I cut him off. His shiny black car skids over the tar as he plucks the wheel to avoid hitting me. The tires squeal as he slams on the brakes. I get out and walk to his side of the car. The gearbox complains as he obviously fails to throw the car into reverse in his flurry of nervous clumsiness. I knock on his window. He glances up, squinting like a child peeping through his fingers at a horror movie. When he recognizes me, his shoulders slump. He winds down the window. "I almost crashed my car. Are you out of your fucking mind?" "Get out. You're taking a ride with me." He turns paler than Snow White. Watching me with a panicked expression, he jabs his finger on the button to raise the window. I've seen it coming. I'm already reaching inside and pressing the button on his armrest to unlock the doors. He screams like a banshee as I open his door and pull him out by his arm. "What do you want?" he shrieks, plastering his arms against his sides and holding his hands in the air as if I'm pointing a gun at him. "Behave, and you'll get to the office without a crease in your suit." "It's not a suit," he says, sounding offended. I drag him to the rental and slam him face down over the hood, keeping an eye on the road to make sure it remains clear. "Oh, God," he cries in a thin voice. "Are you going to rape me?" I chuckle. "You're not my kind." "Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God," he chants as I grab his wrists behind his back in one hand and take the sock from my pocket with the other. "You're going to kill me. You're going to kill me." Shut up. I tie his wrists and pull him to his feet. As I said, cooperate, and you'll be sipping your organic filter coffee at your desk before 8. This isn't how it works, he squeals, as I open the back door and push him inside. I know how you people operate. His eyes grow round when I take the bag from the door compartment. Despite twisting from side to side and bucking like a pig with rabies, it doesn't take much effort to pull the bag over his head and shove him down on the seat. Stay low, I say. If you show your face, I'll cut off your nose. He whimpers at the threat. I shut the door and lock the car in case he gets it into his head to run with a hood over his head and his hand bound behind his back. I'm not in the mood for chasing him through cow dung and muddy fields. It's early. The road is deserted, but the morning traffic will start soon. I get into his car, push the ignition button, and drive it to the side road a few meters up ahead, where I park it on the wide shoulder. I leave the key inside and go back to the rental. With the high crime rate in the area, a luxury car won't be left here for long. He can attribute his late arrival at the office to his car having been stolen. At least he won't have to lie about that. He alternates between whimpering and shouting obscenities as I take the road along the coast to an abandoned, unfinished house on a clifftop near Victoria Bay. It's one of many grand houses on the coast that had never been completed due to funds running dry. A short gravel road leads to the building site. The spot is perfect. The construction is far enough from the road to be out of earshot. A high wall marking the perimeter hides the entrance. In the front, the cliff plunges into the sea. I park behind the wall where the car is out of sight and drag him kicking and screaming into the ground level of the raw concrete building. The top floor has no walls, only pillars and a flat roof, which makes being spotted from there too probable. Our steps echo on the dusty floor. He finally falls quiet, most likely realizing his pleading and screaming are useless. I steer him around rusted metal spikes sticking from half-finished pillars to the center of the floor, where a heap of concrete bricks are stacked. The blue sky is visible through the gaping window frame on the cliffside of the building. I push him down on the bricks, facing the window, and pull the bag from his head. He drags in air, and blinking a few times, casts a bewildered glance around him. Where am I? Why am I here? I prop a foot on the bricks. You're here to tell me some things. He leans away and asks in a high voice, What things? Things I want to know. I'm going to ask you some questions. You're going to answer them. Easy. He watches me with wariness etched on his face as I pick up a brick and weigh it in my palm. With his hair standing in all directions and his fancy jacket hanging askew on his frame, he's a pathetic sight. Your boss bribes a few high-ranking government officials, I say. Let's start with their names. Shifting to the end of his makeshift seat, as far away from me as possible, he says, I don't know anything about that. Come on, Johnson. I'm not an idiot, and I don't have time for games. Moving around him, I set the brick aside. What are you doing? He shrieks, craning his neck to follow my movements. I untie his hands and place them palm down next to him. For every lie you tell, I'm going to flatten one of your fingers. He yanks his hands away and buries them under his armpits. Put down your hands, Johnson. If you don't spread your fingers, I can always crush your balls. I don't know, he cries. I mean, I know about the bribes, he stammers, but I don't know who the money goes to. I pick up the brick and round him again. I'm not sure I believe you. I swear it. He crosses his legs in a feeble effort to protect his junk.
No one does. Only Mr. Edwards.
Someone pays them? I throw the brick in the air right above his head and catch it before it hits his skull. Therefore someone must know.
Not me,
he screeches, ducking to the side.
Mr. Edwards takes care of the payments himself.
However, you have access to the accounts.
He pays the money into offshore accounts that are set up in several company names.
He pulls his shoulders up to his ears.
It's impossible to trace it back to an individual. The payment system is designed to be untraceable.
This I do believe. I know how it works. What about Mrs. Thompson? He shakes his head.
I told you, no one knows.
Should I believe him? The reason I didn't pick up Thompson, the CFO, is because she's a much tougher cookie than Johnson. It would have taken a lot more effort to get answers from her, and I don't have much time. Is he telling the truth about Thompson being in the dark too? Johnson only cares about himself. I've already come to my own conclusions about him by watching him in action at the office. He's sly, ambitious, and self-absorbed. The only things that matter to him are money, status, and a promotion. He's eager for Thompson to retire so that he can move into her corner office. He won't sacrifice himself to save that taciturn woman's hide. Johnson follows my movements with his gaze, his pupils jittery in their sockets as I bounce the brick on my palm. Edwards keeps a record of the sums he pays somewhere, I say. The recipients must acknowledge receipt of those payments. Edwards is way too thorough not to keep a proof of delivery. You should be able to get your hands on that information. How difficult can it be to do a little snooping at the office?
If the information was captured electronically, it would have been possible.
He swallows.
Difficult, but possible. The problem is that Mr. Edwards writes everything down in a book.
A book? That sounds old-fashioned, even for Edwards.
He has this little black book.
He makes a gesture with his hand, and then, seemingly thinking the better of it, quickly hides his fingers again.
Thompson once mentioned that Mr. Edwards keeps note of how much he pays to whom in that book.
That's risky.
Not as risky as keeping the data on a laptop. Encryption programs aren't safe. It only takes a good hacker to crack the code. The information is much too sensitive to let it lie around in cyberspace. The people taking bribes from him signed their names in that very same book to acknowledge the receipt of the money. The book doesn't only contain the information that can condemn every woman and man whose names are recorded on its pages, but it also contains the proof that can bury those officials behind bars for a very long time. It'll cause a national scandal, if not a complete collapse of the ruling party.
I grin. In that case, your job is even easier. He blinks.
You want me to steal his book? It's impossible. He keeps it locked in his desk at home. He never invites us to his house. He doesn't believe in mixing with his employees outside of work. Even if someone tried to break in, it would be useless. I've seen the precautions he took because I paid the security companies who installed his burglar bars and alarms. From the details on the invoice, there are even burglar bars inside his ceiling to prevent robbers from coming through the roof. The place is like Fort Knox. Mr. Edwards has one of the most sophisticated alarm systems in his world. It's foolproof. He's a stickler for security, which is why he lives in this quiet, godforsaken place and runs an office in George instead of in Cape Town. It's a lot safer here.
After that long speech, he sucks in a breath. Fine, I say. He regards me with mistrust.
Fine?
I drop the brick. I believe you. His features contort with alarm.
What now? What are you going to make me do?
Nothing.
Nothing?
He cries out. You're of no use to me. He's not competent enough to play the thief. I'll have to make another plan to get my hands on that book. Cowering, he whimpers.
You're going to kill me. I know it.
I laugh, moving around him to tie his hands again. Not if you keep this meeting to yourself. I pick up the sock. However, if you say a word... Before I have time to finish my sentence, he jumps to his feet and charges to the window like a man with the devil on his tail. Wait! I cry out, diving after him, but grabbing nothing but air. It's too late. Before I can grab his jacket, he's sailing through the window like an athlete jumping hurdles. The windowsill digs into my hips as I slam my body against the bricks. Dumbfounded, I watch him flail through the air, trying to navigate a drop he clearly didn't anticipate. A dull thud sounds as his body hits the rocks at the bottom of the cliff. He lies there motionless, his arms at his sides and his left leg bent in an awkward position, while a red circle bleeds out from beneath his head. I don't need to climb down to know he's dead. Stupid, crazy fucking bastard. A wave crashes over him and tugs his body toward the sea when the water pulls back. The next wave drags him a little further. In a minute, his body will be taken by the current. I spared the idiot a last glance before getting to work, using a leafy branch I break from a nearby tree to wipe out my tracks. I drive to the tar road and do the same with the marks the tires left in the dust. Bringing the branch with me, I make my way back to George. On the way, I chuck the branch through the window down a ravine. Fuck. I still can't believe Johnson was such an idiot, trying to escape through a window without knowing what lies beyond. His fear of me must have outweighed his fear of taking such an uncalculated risk, which is proof of how much terror I inspired in him. He's not the first man I saw dying. Witnessing torture and death is part of my inheritance. My father never sheltered me from who we are. I've seen men beaten, carved to pieces, and shot since I turned 10. Johnson is the first man who died by my hand, though. He's the first man I killed in the name of my future bride. And my gut tells me he won't be the last.
Chapter 6. My mom knocks on my door early, telling me I have a visitor. Anticipation sparks in my belly as I jump out of bed. I dress hurriedly, pulling on a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. When my mom sticks her head around the doorframe to ask if I'm ready, she gives me a disapproving look and instructs me to wear something more presentable, like the red dress she takes from my closet. "Who's here?" I ask, shimmying into the fitted dress that's overly formal for a Friday morning, too excited to argue about my mom's choice of outfit for me. If she's making me dress up, my visitor must be someone important to my parents, someone with business ties to Dad, someone like Angelo. She hands me my red sandals. "Fix your hair and come down quickly." On her way out, she adds from over her shoulder, "Don't forget to brush your teeth." My stomach flutters as I take care of my grooming and brush my hair. I apply mascara and lip gloss and give myself a once-over in the mirror before charging to the door. Wait. I turn on my heel and hurry to my dresser, where I take the bracelet Angelo's family gave me from the drawer and secure it around my wrist. There. Perfect. Not 2 seconds later, I'm rushing down the stairs. I bet Angelo returned to offer an excuse for leaving the party early. He won't go back to Corsica without saying goodbye. Something happened last night. I can't put my finger on what transpired between us, but I'll bet all the money in my bank account he's aware of it too. I take the turn to the lounge so fast my sandals slip on the tiles. And then I slow my steps. My spirits sink.
Colin sits on the sofa, framed by the view of the sea and the brilliant sky at his back. The sunlight crowns his blonde hair with a silver lining. He's dressed in a striped shirt, beige chinos, and loafers without socks. His blue eyes crinkle in the corners when he sees me. "Oh, it's you," I say, unable to keep the disappointment from my voice. He frowns. Usually I'm ecstatic to see my best friend, especially when he's just returned from a holiday abroad. He must be pondering the sudden change. My mom, who must have entered short of my heels, clears her throat behind me. "I'm very happy to see you," I continue quickly, which is the truth. I am always keen to hang out with Colin. He's just not who I was hoping to see today. He gets to his feet, takes a bouquet of multicolored flowers wrapped in cellophane from the coffee table, and holds it out to me.
"Happy birthday, Bella. I'm sorry I couldn't be here for the party. Our flight landed at 6 this morning."
"That's okay. You don't have to be here for every birthday party." I take the flowers. "Thank you. They're beautiful." He leans in and kisses my cheek.
"You're welcome."
"You shouldn't have rushed over straight away." I hook my hair behind my ear, feeling overdressed and uncomfortable. "You must be tired." This setup is so awkward. We normally swim or play volleyball on the beach, not meet each other in the formal lounge reserved for important guests, with my mom sitting in like a chaperone.
"Are you kidding? Of course I had to come."
He winks.
"If I didn't need a shower first, I would have woken you up even earlier. Did you get my video message? It's not the same as saying happy birthday in person, but it's the next best thing."
"Yes, thank you. I'm sorry I haven't replied yet. The party finished late." My mom pokes me in the ribs, which is my cue to turn the conversation to him. Resisting an urge to glare at her, I ask, "How was New York?" Of course, he'll tell me all the juicy details later when we're alone. But since my mom isn't showing any signs of leaving, I'm just making polite conversation.
"Freezing. My mom got her New Year on Times Square, but she couldn't last outside for more than 10 minutes before we had to head back to the hotel."
"How are they, your parents?" Mom asks. "And your sister? Clara must have had fun."
Dad enjoyed it less than Mom, seeing that she mostly did shopping and towed him along. Clara caught a cold on the second day. Needless to say, she was miserable.
"Poor dear," Mom says. "I'm sorry to hear that." He shrugs.
"It happens."
Reverting his attention to me, he continues.
"More importantly, how was the big event?"
As my mom can't see my face, I roll my eyes while saying with enthusiasm, "Great." A grin stretches his cherub cheeks. Colin is handsome in a blonde and tanned surfer kind of way, but he hasn't outgrown the baby fat on his face. "There's cake left over," my mom says. "Would you like a slice? It's from a renowned French baker." He replies with a brilliant smile.
"That sounds great. Thank you, Mrs. Edwards."
My mom lifts the receiver of the intercom phone on the wall and dials the kitchen, ordering Doris to serve tea and cake. "While you're at it, please bring a vase with water," Mom adds before hanging up. Facing me, she rubs her hands together. "Colin has a surprise for you." I look at him. "You do?"
"Sit,"
he says, taking the flowers from my hands and leaving them on the table.
"It's your birthday gift."
Flopping down on the sofa, I give him an anxious smile. I hate surprises. "I thought the flowers were for my birthday."
"This is your real gift,"
he says, walking to the grand piano. Oh no. I cringe inwardly when he takes a seat on the bench and shakes his fingers to warm them up. Sometimes he can be such a nerd. He's an all-rounder, good at academics, music, and sport. He's always considerate and friendly, his manners are impeccable. He never loses his cool, and he never says something bad about anybody, not even to side with me when I'm having a tiff with one of the kids in our neighborhood. I'm not sure why his flawless character irritates me so much today. I just wish he'd sometimes be a little less perfect. He runs his fingers over the notes from C to B or whatever they're called, testing them. "It hasn't been tuned," my mom says, taking a seat next to me and crossing her legs. "The technician can't come out until next week." "It's a mighty fine piano, Mrs. Edwards." She beams. "Thank you." Diving into a saloon-style version of Happy Birthday, he sings, "Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bella." I make a gagging gesture. He laughs and changes direction, letting his fingers fly over the keys as he launches into a complicated modern piece of music. While I admire his skill, the music isn't my style. Call me unsophisticated, but I find it awful. I clench my hands in my lap while he loses himself in the music. It feels like it's gone on forever before the beat slows and he pauses dramatically before hitting the final key. The high note still reverberates in the space when Doris enters with a tray. Colin shoots me an expectant smile. My mom claps. "Bravo, that was outstanding, Colin." I join in the applause, but my effort lacks enthusiasm. "What is it called?" Mom asks. "I composed it for Bella," he says. "I haven't titled it yet. Maybe I'll call it Sweet 16. Doris leaves the tray on the coffee table and straightens. "Bella has another guest." I jerk my head in her direction, expecting her to tell me my visitor is waiting in the entrance to be invited in, and then I do a double take. Angelo stands in the doorframe with a huge box in his hands. My stomach lurches as if I'm on a roller coaster. Blood surges through my body, and heat burns on my cheeks. Wearing black jeans, a leather jacket, and a dark expression, he looks sinister and angry. The rings on his fingers and the chunky bracelets on his wrists add a bad boy/alternative artsy vibe. I find the male accessories hot, but my mom's upside-down smile as her gaze homes in on his hands says it's too much jewelry for her liking. He sweeps his gaze over the room, taking in the flowers, my dress, and the fine china reserved for special occasions. When he fixes his attention on Colin, the look in his glacial eyes turns diabolical. Colin blanches. Who wouldn't under such a stare? That glare promises torture and murder and all the unspeakable horrors of nightmares. Shifting on the bench, Colin glances between Angelo and me. "Angelo," Mom says, turning as stiff as cardboard. "We didn't expect you." He nails her with a piercing look. As if finding the sight boring, he quickly moves on, his next target me. I'm frozen in place, exposed and vulnerable, my secrets spilling out in the color of my cheeks and the breathless gasp that squeezed from my chest. Tilting his head, he inspects my features. What he sees amuses him. He quirks an eyebrow. A knowing smile curves his lips. He knows. He knows the effect he has on me. I'm such a damn open book. "I brought the rest of Sabella's gift," he says in a suave voice, his accent barely detectable. My mom says through tight lips, "As you can see, Sabella has a guest." Angelo's tone is dry. "I noticed." "I'll fetch another cup and slice of cake," Doris says, enjoying the spectacle with a little too much glee. She's never been a big fan of my mom. My mom's cutting look is lost on her as she leaves the room. Always following the protocol of good manners, my mom stands and straightens her skirt. "Angelo, this is Colin, Sabella's very special friend. Colin, this is Angelo, a business associate of my husband."
At business associate, Angelo gives my mom a mocking smile. He crosses the floor and puts the box on the table. Colin stands and rounds the piano. He offers Angelo a hand. "It's a pleasure to meet you." Angelo's long lashes dip as he glances at Colin's palm before gripping it in a handshake that makes Colin wince. "Is it?" Colin frowns. Dismissing Colin with an air of disinterest, Angelo addresses me. "I brought some things Pirate may need." Colin looks between my mom and me. "Pirate?" Angelo gave me a cat." Colin raises a brow. He knows about my mom's aversion to pets and her so-called allergy. "I thought he may need a bed, toys, and a litter tray." Angelo motions at the box. "There are all kinds of soft and dry food as well as different types of litter. That way you can test everything to see what he prefers." "Wow, thank you." I smile at him. "That's so thoughtful. I was going to beg my sister to drive me to the pet shop to buy all of that." "Colin wrote a ballad for Sabella's birthday," Mom says. "Would you like to hear it?" "I heard it." Angelo's smile is flat. "I think all your neighbors did. I hope they have earplugs." A choking sound slips through Mom's lips. Colin simultaneously frowns and smiles as if to say, "What the fuck is your problem?" "I have to be on my way. Our flight leaves in a few hours." Angelo offers me his arm. "Will you walk me out, Cara?" Even though it was a question, he phrased it like an order. I stand on shaky legs, place my hand on his forearm and mumble, "Excuse me," in Colin's direction as Angelo walks me out. "What about your tea?" Doris asks when we pass her in the foyer. She's carrying a tray laid with a cup and a plated slice of cake. "Another time," he says, inclining his head and leading me outside. On the front patio, he steers me to the swing bench in the corner and lowers his arm. I don't have a choice but to remove my hand. Watching me with cunning attention, he leans a shoulder on the wall and takes a joint from his pocket. "Is that a habit?" I ask. "It helps me to relax when business is tense." He scrutinizes me. "You don't like it?" I hate the smell of tobacco smoke. It has a way of clinging to a person's hair and clothes and leaving a horrible stale smell in a room. I wrinkle my nose, not to mention cigarette breath. He breaks the joint in half and shoves the pieces back into his pocket. Something warm spreads through my chest. Knowing he did that just because I hate the smell of smoke. Silence stretches as he continues to study me with a penetrating stare. "What?" I say when I can't stand it any longer. He grips the chain around my neck, fingering the sea turtle pendant. "Did he give this to you?" "Who, Colin?" "No, it was a gift from my dad." He drops the chain. "Is he your boyfriend?" "No," I exclaim, not wanting him to get the wrong idea. "Colin is my neighbor and my best friend. We grew up together. He's like a brother to me." I push a finger on his chest. "Which is why you can't treat him like that." "Like what?" he drawls. "As if he's your enemy. I saw how you shook his hand." "You want me to go easy on him?" he asks with a chuckle. "I want you to be polite. You can't be rude to my friends." He drags his gaze over me. "Is that how you dress up for all your friends?" I cross my arms. The dress was my mom's idea. Not that what I choose to wear is any of your business. He rubs a thumb over his bottom lip as he considers my answer. After a beat, his lips curve into an indulgent smile. "It seems like your mother has a different idea about your brotherly friend." "Okay,
I'll admit that was awkward. He scrutinizes me.
Does your mother always play matchmaker?
Mom can be infuriating at times, but I'm not going to let him judge her. She means well.
I'm sure Colin will agree.
I can assure you that Colin was just as uncomfortable as me.
You've never had the tiniest attraction to him? Not even when you played house back when you were young?
I pull my back straight. We didn't play house. Why is this starting to sound like an interrogation? I don't care much for being questioned like this.
You've never kissed him?
He asks, his tone incredulous. The fact that he doubts my honesty makes me angry. Like what I wear, that's also none of your business. He raises a thick, dark eyebrow.
Isn't it?
The meaning behind that statement sends a shiver of anticipation through me, but I won't let him bully me. Is this conversation going somewhere, or are you just being rude? He steps so close that the heat of his skin is like a warm mist around me.
Yes, this is going somewhere, but you already know that.
He adds with a wicked glint in his eyes.
Despite what your mother and father may say.
My heart starts galloping in my chest. His masculinity is overwhelming. I'm no match for the power he exudes, or for the experience that comes with his age, but I can't bring myself to care.
Now tell me, Kara,
he says in a soft voice, leaning closer.
Is it sweet 16 and never been kissed? Or has that card been claimed?
Annoyingly, the heat burning on my cheeks gives me away again. I hate that he knows how inexperienced I am. Satisfaction bleeds with something darker into his black eyes.
Good. Keep it like that. Your first kiss is mine.
Awareness of him, his smell, and how tall and strong he is washes over me. Goosebumps run down my arms. He leans closer still and continues in a possessive tone.
All your firsts are mine.
With those words, he invades my spaces, my dreams, and my hopes, and builds an indestructible nest for himself in my future. My pulse pounds in my temples. Angelo Russo wants my first kiss, and more, so much more. He fixes his gaze on the bracelet on my wrist. The approval that sparks in his eyes warms me. I have an inexplicable urge to please him. My parents have always showered me with love and acceptance. I'm not starved for approval, but I crave his. No one's appreciation matters as much as his. Until yesterday, my dad was my hero, my everything. Somewhere between then and now, Angelo has challenged that first place my dad held in my heart. Urgency infuses his words.
Tell me you understand. Make a promise. To me. Now.
A promise? His sudden intensity scares me. It pushes my newly empowered heart into the background and allows my logical reasoning to take center stage again. You're going back to Corsica in a few hours.
I'll always come back for you. Remember that. No matter what anyone says.
He's so serious now, so overbearing, that I can't help but take a step back to breathe, to focus, to put distance between us. This isn't how relationships develop. This isn't a guy asking me out on a date. He's skipping everything in between, jumping straight to what sounds an awful lot like a serious commitment. I don't understand what you're asking from me, I say, my throat tight as I stare up at his beautiful face. His gaze drills into mine.
I'm asking you to be patient, to wait.
We only met yesterday.
When we met doesn't matter.
He holds out his hand.
Give me your phone.
I don't have it on me. It's in my room.
Give me your number.
My mom pops her head around the front door. Sabella, your guest is waiting, and your father is on the phone. He wants a word with you. I'm coming, I call. I'm just saying goodbye. Mom purses her lips, but goes back inside.
Give me your number, Sabella,
Angelo says. Not, will you please give me your number? No, he's demanding it, like it's his right to have it. A calculated look comes over his face.
I can get it easily enough, but it'll be sweeter if you give it to me.
The part of me that doesn't like to be told what to do wants to resist, but another part of me, the part that needs to please him, wants to do as he demands. Do I want to? There's not even a question about it. I wanted him to own more than just my number before he'd even spoken to me. From the moment I saw him, I wanted things I can't put in words. Sabella! My mom calls from inside the house, her tone carrying a warning. If I'm not back in the house in the next second, my mom will come out and drag me inside. Having been embarrassed once in front of my instant crush is more than enough. I quickly rattle off my number. The approval I want so desperately shows in the curve of his sensual lips.
Good girl.
That warm feeling of earlier spreads through my whole body. I focus on his lips. His bottom lip is fuller than his upper lip, giving his mouth both a sexy look and a determined set.
I'll text you my number,
he says.
If you ever need anything, you only have to call.
The enormity of the statement takes me aback. He doesn't owe me anything, yet he behaves as if he's already much more to me, even more than a boyfriend. Shoving his hands into his pockets, he strolls to the car parked next to the fountain. This time, when he drives away, he doesn't look back. But it's as if a part of him stayed behind, inside me.
Chapter 7. When they get back to the hotel, Edwards is waiting in the reception. He gets up from the chaise by the window, his face ruddier than usual. Holding my gaze with a moody expression, he adjusts his jacket and meets me halfway across the floor. "Have a coffee with me," he says, tilting his head toward the bar. I smile as I follow him, knowing what's coming. We take a seat at the counter where it's quiet. "2 espressos," he says to the barman. Then, turning to me, "I want you to stay away from my daughter. I don't want you going near my house again." The barman puts a coffee in front of each of us. Pulling mine closer, I take note of the thin layer of sheen on his forehead, how he'd rather sweat in the heat than take off his jacket. News travels fast. "My wife called me at the office when you turned up at our place." He rips the packet of sugar open and pours it into his coffee, messing grains over the counter. "I left an important meeting to have this discussion with you." I'm flattered. However, seeing me off in person wasn't necessary. His jaw tightens, but his tone remains patient. "I thought we should talk before you go." "Without my father?" "Yes." He stirs his coffee and taps the spoon on the rim of the cup. "It's better that we do this alone." The "this" he's referring to is going to be interesting. I'm listening. "You're a young man with your whole life ahead of you. Being tied in a marriage to a girl you don't know can't be something you want." "Don't assume to know what I want." He stiffens. I can assure you it's not what Sabella wants. I raise a brow. Are you sure about that? The spoon clatters on the saucer as he drops it. Arranged marriages may still be practiced where you come from, but it doesn't work like that here. Where I come from, family and duty come first. We honor our promises. His face turns red. I did not make any promises. Your father is mistaken. My father is many things, but he's not a liar. I was there, remember? I might have been young at the time, but I did pay attention to your conversation, especially since your discussion involved me. He balls his hands into a fist on the counter. If you're not willing to back down from this ridiculous idea, you won't leave me with a choice but to find another service provider. My smile is cold. Meaning you'll cut us out? He lifts his chin and says in an unwavering voice, Yes. Up to now, we've always received our orders via third parties. No emails, nothing on paper. No trails that can lead back to him. He's clever, but I'm cleverer. If you're bringing it up, Mr. Edwards, you must already have someone in mind. He raises his chin another inch. I do. I study him as I sip my espresso. Judging from the sweat stains under the armpits of his jacket, he's not as certain of himself as he likes to appear. Still, this is Africa. Nothing is impossible here. The continent has no lack of powerful criminals. We don't have a legally binding contract that will prevent him from getting his services elsewhere. Our kind of deals are sealed with a handshake and retained with bloodshed. I put my cup on the counter. I see. He scrunches his eyes into slits. Does that mean you're going to do something about it? I guess I am. He pats me on the shoulder and gets to his feet. I'm glad we could come to an understanding. I'll leave it in your hands to deal with your father. You'll know best how to convince him. His lips curve into a semblance of a smile, but the gesture is flat and formal. I'm glad we'll continue to do business. Leaving his espresso untouched, he walks to the door. I stare after him with pity, because I am going to do something about it, and he's not going to like it. I take a 200 rand bill from my wallet and slide it over the counter. If Edwards misinterpreted my meaning, it's his bad.
Chapter 8. I hug a pillow to my chest where I lie on my bed as I replay the morning in my head, or more accurately, the part involving Angelo. Pirate is curled up against my side, his warm little body soothing. I pick up my phone and check the screen, like I did not 5 minutes earlier. There's still nothing. No word from Angelo. Maybe he's in the plane. Does he even remember my number? What if he forgot it? No. Somehow an inadequate memory seems beneath him. He comes across as one of those people who's both insightful and good at memorizing facts. Intelligent, like someone who breezes through life, navigating the pitfalls effortlessly and efficiently. He's clever on all levels. Maybe he'll send me a text message when he lands in Corsica. Can you even fly there directly? Do you have to go via France? My knowledge of geography is good, but I've never traveled abroad, so I don't know how it works. I make a mental note to look it up. A fresh pang of guilt hits my conscience. My stomach twists. I lied to my dad. It's a line I've never crossed, and it makes me loathe myself. I hate the feeling, but what choice did I have? When Dad called, I've never heard him so angry. He never loses his cool, especially not with me. I told him Angelo had delivered the rest of my gift, and that was all. He asked if Angelo had initiated any contact, and I said no without blinking. If I'd told the truth, Dad would have confiscated my phone, and I couldn't let that happen. I'll die if I don't hear from him. Ugh, why must Dad be so difficult? It's obvious he doesn't trust Angelo with me. He made that clear when he said Angelo is never to set foot in our house again. When I asked Dad why he disliked him so much, he gave me the same answer as last night, that he's a bad person and no good for me. A knock falls on the door, pulling me from my thoughts. Maddie enters without waiting for my reply. She comes over and sits on the edge of the bed. Mom said you're grounded. I can't believe she ran straight to the phone and called Dad. I push the pillow over my face and utter a scream before throwing it against the wall. I'm so mad at her. Pirate jerks awake at the sudden movement, his big yellow eyes alert and wild as he looks around. Sorry, Pirate, I mumble, stroking his fur. He settles with a purr and curls up in a ball again. Don't blame Mom, Maddie says. She did what she thought was right. Dad obviously agrees. Maddie's words stir a sense of betrayal in me. Hey, whose side are you on? Everyone told you to stay away from that boy. It's for the best. She gets to her feet. Do you want to look at wedding brochures with us? Jared and I are getting some ideas for the venue. I'd rather swallow needles. Why don't you just elope and have an island wedding? I want a big wedding with all the frills. If it's the most I'm getting out of the deal, I may as well go the whole 9 yards. Mindful not to disturb Pirate again, I sit up carefully. How can you be so accepting of everything? How can you sacrifice getting a degree and having a career for Jared? She shrugs and turns for the door. I love him. Calling from over her shoulder, she adds, We're in the informal lounge if you change your mind. Thanks, I mumble, but she's already closed the door. In exactly 10 minutes, Mom is going to barge in here and tell me to be a good sister by showing an interest in Maddie's wedding. It's not that I'm uninterested. I just don't want to pore over glossy magazines and browse cake decorations for hours. What can be more boring? I quickly strip out of the red dress and pull on my bikini, a pair of shorts, and a boyfriend shirt that I knot in the front. After making sure Pirate has food and water, I close the door behind me and run barefoot downstairs. Mom is talking to Doris in the kitchen, giving her dinner instructions. I'm going to Collins, I say as I scoot past the door. Not giving Mom a chance to object. Not that I expect her to, seeing how hard she's trying to push Colin and me into each other's arms. Be home by 5, Mom calls after me. Your father won't be later than 6. That's new. Usually on Fridays he has drinks after work with his clients. It's a company tradition. As he never gets home until after midnight, we have our Friday night dinners without him. I hope he's not making an exception in coming home early to lecture me again. Keeping a straight face while lying to Dad is neither easy nor pleasant. After letting myself out through the pedestrian gate, I walk the 200 meters to Colin's house and ring the intercom at the gate. Our gardens touch on the eastern side, but their mansion doesn't have a sea-facing view. When the gate clicks open, I jog down the paved driveway to the front. The house is modern with angular lines and lots of glass. I like the design and the sparse contemporary furniture, much better than our imposing palatial structure with its stiff and formal sofas. Colin opens the front door wearing a pair of Bermuda swimming shorts and holding a maxi bag of potato crisps in one hand. His ridiculously perfect abs and hairless chest didn't retain an ounce of the baby fat that gives his cheeks their chubby appearance. Besides his blonde hair and blue-eyed look, his well-proportioned pecs, biceps, and washboard stomach are some of the biggest reasons why the girls in my school are chasing so hard after him.
Other reasons include his family's money, his good grades, his promising future, and his faultless manners. Oh, and did I mention that he's the town's rugby star?
Hey,
he says, stuffing a handful of crisps in his mouth.
What's up?
Maddie and Jared are choosing wedding colors and themes.
Ouch.
He sucks air through his teeth.
Sounds like a nightmare.
He holds the bag out to me and says with a full mouth,
Want a chip?
I make a face. No thanks. Your hand's been in there, and I don't know where your hand has been. He cocks a shoulder.
Your loss.
Turning back into the house, he says,
My parents went grocery shopping. There's not much to munch in the house.
I follow him inside. I'm not hungry. Not today. Usually, I always have an appetite. I'm just too out of sorts to be in the mood for snacks. We walk through the television room toward the deck at the back and stop next to the pool where Clara is swimming a length underwater. She surfaces at the shallow end and wipes drops from her eyes. Hey, Bella. I give a little wave. Hi. She kicks away from the side, dives under the water, and resumes her swimming. Colin goes to the bar and opens the fridge.
There's only Pepsi and tonic water.
I'm not thirsty. He pulls his head from the fridge and gives me a mock horrified look.
What? Sabella Edwards not hungry or thirsty? It's going to snow, and I've had enough of that in New York.
My tone is sarcastic. Ha ha. He grabs a can of Pepsi.
Sure you don't want one?
I do, Clara says, pushing herself out of the water. He throws the can to his sister and takes another for himself. After cracking it open, he plonks down on a deck chair. Clara takes a few gulps before setting the soft drink on a table and snatching a towel from the pile on the shelf next to the bar. Colin and Clara are 3 years apart, but if you didn't know they were brother and sister, you'd never guess. Their resemblance ends with their golden hair and clear blue eyes. Her face is narrower, and her small body pixie-like in build. She wags her eyebrows. I'm going for a shower to give you two time to, catch up. At catch up, she makes a heart shape with her hands. Colin flips her off. She giggles as she waltzes past me and into the house.
You won't grow taller by standing there, Colin says. Grab a seat.
Too agitated for lounging, I shove my hands in my back pockets and kick at the pebbles on the border of the deck. He sits up and swings a leg over each side of the chair, clasping the can in both hands.
Clara is going to a sleepover at 5. I have to watch her until then, but I'm free after. Do you want to go catch a movie?
Nope, I sigh. I'm grounded from going to town.
Grounded? Wow, what happened?
I exhale through my nose. Angelo?
What did you do?
Nothing. I throw my hands in the air. I got grounded for talking to him. Alone. Outside. He takes a sip of his drink, watching me from over the rim of the can.
Just for talking to him?
Yes. He rests his elbows on his thighs.
That's harsh.
Tell me about it. I go over to the ping-pong table and pick up the ball and a bat. My dad said I should have refused the stuff he bought for Pirate. He's angry that I walked him out. He wanted to know what we talked about alone outside, as if I'm a child who can't be trusted. I'm supposed to tell Angelo he's not welcome if he ever shows up again.
Why?
I bounce the ball with the bat. Dad says he comes from a bad family and that he's only doing business with them because he doesn't have a choice.
Don't you believe your dad?
You know my dad is overprotective. I looked Angelo up on Google. There wasn't a lot of personal information, only that his family owns tons of businesses in Corsica. They donate shitloads of money to charity. His mom is an angel investor in several startups and the patron of a program that reintegrates runaway teenagers into society.
Anything can look good on paper. You have to admit, the dude is weird.
I look at him quickly, missing a hit. The ball hops off the table and rolls under a rose bush. Why do you say that?
He looked like he wanted to rip my head off and eat my brains for breakfast.
Busying myself with going after the ball, I avoid his gaze. You're exaggerating.
What's the deal with the two of you?
Heat pushes up my neck. I take a moment to gather myself before straightening. There's no deal.
Come on, Bella. I don't know you from yesterday. The guy walks into a room and you turn redder than a stop sign.
I throw the ball and catch it midair. I was surprised, that's all. He didn't have to buy all those things for Pirate.
I've never seen you blush in the 16 years I've known you.
I can't argue that fact.
Are you in love with him?
He asks in a quiet voice. The heat travels from my neck to my face. Ignoring the question, I dribble the ball with the bat on the table.
You are,
he adds in a disbelieving tone,
after only meeting him last night.
I can't deny it. He won't buy the lie. If anyone knows me inside out, it's Colin. Dropping the bat, I turn to face him. Maybe I am. So what?
So what?
He utters a laugh.
You don't even know him.
I frown. You say it like you disapprove.
How can you fall in love without knowing the first thing about him?
I stiffen. I know plenty of things.
Yeah? Like what?
He's kind. He snort laughs.
Is he?
Yes, I say, my tone defensive. He made my mom let me keep the cat.
How did he manage that anyway? Wait, how did he know you wanted a cat?
He didn't. I found the cat in a trash can and took it home. When my mom saw it, she wanted to take it to the SPCA, but Angelo happened to be there and he told her he gave me the cat for my birthday.
And she agreed? Just like that?
Yes. I brush my hands over my shorts. Their business must be really important to my dad. He glances toward the horizon and back at me.
He lied and then manipulated your mom into letting you have a cat. You base your feelings on that?
Why not? I say, irritation bubbling up inside me. He didn't lie with bad intentions. It was only to help me. Chuckling, he tips back the can and takes a long drink. After wiping his mouth with the back of his hand, he says with a wry expression, "Because of him, you finally have a cat, and I wrote you a stupid fucking ballad." It's not stupid. When he raises a brow, meeting my gaze with a challenge in his, I add quickly, "Okay, you have to be honest. The situation was weird. That's not our dynamic."
No?
He searches my face.
It could be.
I walk to his chair and poke him in the chest. You're my friend, my best buddy. He squints up at me.
Exactly. We know each other's faults and weaknesses. I know you hate Avo and that you mash bananas on your peanut butter toast. We're perfectly suited. Everyone says we make the handsomest couple in town. We're both high achievers and good sportsmen. They all think we're going to end up together. Why shouldn't we?
There's no spark, I say, raising my palms and lifting my shoulders.
Sparks are overrated. I think friendship is much more important.
Propping my hands on my hips, I scrutinize him through narrowed eyes. This is all because of this morning. My mom put you up to that. The ballad was her idea. Admit it. He scoffs. When I don't budge, he cuts his gaze toward the pool.
She may have mentioned that they'd gotten you a piano for your birthday and that since you don't play, a little performance would be a nice gift.
I knew it, I say with a measure of triumph and relief. I'm so embarrassed about her meddling. I'm really sorry she's like that.
Yeah,
he waves a hand.
It's nothing.
His Adam's apple bobs as he swallows.
You don't have to apologize.
I straddle the chair, facing him. Are we seriously having this conversation? I don't want things to get awkward between us. He tips back the can and drinks, pretending to look at the ocean. Because you're my only real friend. I make a puppy face. My best buddy. Dipping my head, I catch his gaze and say in my pouty voice, my buddy bear, my cuddly poo. A grin tugs at the corner of his lips. Even though he tries hard to keep a serious face, he gives me a gentle shove.
Okay, I get it.
Laughing, I lean back with my weight supported on my arms and tickle his side with my toes. Come on, smile. You know you want to. He pushes my foot away, but his features soften as his resolve crumbles. He's never been good at pretending to be angry.
So you want sparks, huh?
I let out a dreamy sigh. Yep.
If your parents don't want you to see this guy, what are you going to do? Anyway, your mom mentioned that he lives abroad. Corsica, right?
Right. I bite my lip, considering how honest to be. But Colin is my bestie, and I trust him. He won't tattletale on me to my parents. I gave him my number.
Have you heard from him?
My chest tightens as I admit. Not yet. Caution slips into his voice.
Say you do hear from him. Then what?
Then we're going to text and talk on the phone. Isn't that why you give someone your number?
How is this going to work if you don't see him again?
I will, I say, emphasizing the words with conviction, more for my own sake than for Colin's. He said he'd come back.
Will you meet him in secret?
He studies me with something that looks too much like pity.
How will that work in the long term? Can you hide seeing him from your parents forever?
The obstacles in my path are dampers on my short-lived excitement. The unknown difficulties lying ahead constrict my chest. But I won't be a minor forever. As an adult, I'll be able to make my own decisions. Even then, I'm not looking forward to disappointing my dad. Putting on a carefree smile, I say, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Concern passes through his eyes.
Just be careful, Bella. Don't do something that'll get you hurt. I don't want that for you because you're my best friend too.
Thanks. My smile wavers. Anyway, it's not serious. It's not like I'm making plans to marry him. Like you said, we only met yesterday.
Okay,
he says, not sounding convinced. My phone pings. Taking it from my pocket, I check the message. It's from Angelo. My heart starts pounding, sending a rush of blood through my veins.
Angelo, are you thinking of me?
I type out a quick reply. Are you thinking of me? His answer comes a second later.
Funny and clever, yes.
Simple and honest. He doesn't mince his words. I like that. Aware of Colin's gaze on me, I get up. Sorry, it's him. Give me a minute. I turn my back on Colin and type. Yes, too.
Good. I'm having a phone delivered for you tomorrow.
My cheeks turn hot, knowing he anticipated the fact that my parents may confiscate my phone or check my messages.
The delivery will be made at 10. Can you wait outside?
So that my parents don't find out. Yes, but tell the courier company to meet me at the bottom of the street.
Done.
Where are you?
On our way to Cape Town.
I think a moment, trying to come up with an appropriate reply. It's too soon to tell him I'll miss him. I don't want to come on to him too strongly. Bon voyage? I wait a few beats, but when he doesn't reply, I write, At what time is your flight? His answer comes immediately.
Midnight. I'll let you know when we land in Marseille.
My finger hovers over the kissing emoji, but as he hasn't used any emojis, I decide against it. I stare at the screen for another 3 seconds, and when the dots indicating that he's typing remain absent, I pocket my phone.
What did he say?
Colin asks. I set my gaze on the ocean, trying to imagine Corsica on the other side. That he's thinking of me?
Damn, Bella.
I turn around. Colin stabs his fingers through his hair, messing it up.
Nothing good can come of this.
That sounds an awful lot like what Maddie said. But I pay the pessimistic prophecy no heed. My stomach does that funny thing again, and suddenly the world is a wonderful place.
Chapter 9. When we land in Marseille at 11 in the morning, I send a text message to Sabella, asking if she received her new phone. I went to some lengths to arrange a secure line with unlimited data for a good reason. A few reasons, actually. The calls won't be traceable, meaning her father won't find out what I'm up to, and the location tracker I activated will give me her whereabouts. I'll have eyes on her not only via the man I dispatched to keep her safe and report on her activities, but also via her phone. I want to have a means of communication with her every minute of every hour. I want to be able to get hold of her 24/7. I'll teach her to keep that phone on her day and night, like one uses treats to teach an animal to do tricks. I'll send her messages when she arrives at school and when she leaves. I already know she's anxious to hear from me. I'll pull her in and spin a web around her, charming my way into her heart until she won't be able to go a day without hearing from me. I know how to turn people into addicts. I'm a good manipulator. I'll throw a few breadcrumbs, luring her closer little by little until she eats out of my hand like a bird. She won't even realize it's happening. She'll wake up checking her phone, and it'll be the last thing she does before going to bed. I won't text her when she's in school. I don't want to disrupt her concentration or have a negative influence on her grades. Outside of school, however, I'll control her life, and no one will be any the wiser. The thought is sweet. The day Edwards finds out, I want to be there. I want to look him in the eyes and see his disillusionment when he realizes I stole his precious princess right from under his nose. As I anticipated, her reply comes immediately, thanking me for the phone and asking how the flight was. I like that about her, that she's honest and direct, without indulging in games. Only women who are uncertain of themselves play hard to get. Sabella is straightforward and uncomplicated. She doesn't see a need to hide her feelings, which counts in my favor. It'll be easier for me to get to know her and to learn what makes her tick. In my line of work, being an open book is a weakness, but I prefer that trait in women. Sabella is sweet and innocent. Some would say naive. I see the characteristic for what it is. She's unspoiled, not yet poisoned by the toxic side of life. She's fresh and gorgeous, a beautiful young woman on the precipice of adulthood. I could have done a lot worse for a wife. At the harbor, I snap a photo of me on our luxury yacht that we used to sail to Corsica. The sky is a cerulean blue, and the sea a translucent turquoise. The scenery makes a pretty picture. It's never too early to get her acquainted with what her future home looks like. I send the photo with a message to take care of herself. The weather conditions are good. It takes us roughly 7 hours of cruising at 25 knots to reach Bastia. At the familiar site of Terra Nova, a centuries-old citadel with ramparts that was built by our Genoese ancestors, the tightness in my chest eases. I breathe easier, inhaling the familiar smell of salt and sea with the crisp air. I'm happiest on the water, a quality I inherited from our seafaring forefathers. On land, Bastia is where I'm most at home. My father comes from a long line of Italian ancestors. My grandfather came to Corsica when Italy occupied the island in 1942. My mother is from local origin. For that reason, my sister and I didn't speak Italian until we went to school. My father was hardly involved in our lives when we were young. He was too busy building his business and making his riches. My uncles and cousins wait for us when we cruise into the marina. It's a cold winter's day with a clear, sunny sky. They have cars waiting, but my father says he wants to walk for exercise. Uncle Nico sends the drivers ahead. While we stroll to a bar in town, he fills us in on what's been going down in the business. The owner clears the bar when we enter, sending the clientele outside. No one argues as they carry their espressos to the tables on the pavement. They know who we are. Uncle Enzo closes the door. My father's younger brothers are identical twins. They look so much alike, it's difficult to distinguish them. But if you know them as well as I do, you can easily differentiate them by their mannerisms. Uncle Nico is the more boisterous one. Plus, he's rounder around the waist than Uncle Enzo. My mother says their extra weight is the result of eating so unhealthily, since both their wives passed away at a young age. Uncle Nico's wife died in childbirth. Uncle Enzo's slowly faded away after her menopause medication triggered a stroke at the age of 50. My father sits down at the table and wipes a handkerchief over his brow. Despite the cold, he's sweating. I order a glass of water and coffee. The owner serves them personally, leaving both at my father's elbow. A waitress brings a tray with pastries and coffee for everyone else, while we remove our coats and get comfortable. "How is she?" my cousin Tommaso asks, nudging me in the ribs. His gleeful expectation rubs me the wrong way. I play dumb. "Who?" "Your bride. Who else?" "Do you think I'm going to discuss my betrothed with you?" "I just want to know if she has nice—" I give him a slap upside the head. "Hey!" He leans to the side. "What was that for?" "If you insult my wife, I'll break your nose." "Future wife," he says with a disgruntled look. "Same thing," I say. "Tama," Uncle Nico grumbles. Tama rubs his head. "I didn't mean anything, Papa. I just wanted to know, seeing that it's my turn next." He adds in a sulky tone. "And I'm not even 18. I hit him again. "Show some respect for your future wife." "Hey!" he cries out. "I was just saying—" Uncle Nico says in his gravelly voice, "Don't give the impression that you're not keen on meeting her. Angelo is right. It shows disrespect and a bad character." Gianni pats Toma on the back and grins. "Toma only just lost his virginity. He's not keen on being reminded he'll be shackled soon." When Toma turns red, the men chuckle. No disrespect intended. In our circles, 17 is considered late for being initiated into manhood. Normally, that's taken care of on a son's 15th birthday. Toma had issues, it seems. The hookers his father paid didn't do it for him. No man sitting around this table knows I'm as virginal as they come. I have no intention of throwing something sacred away for the sake of experience. The whore I got for my birthday was only too happy to be sent away without having to bed a boy. I paid her extra to keep her mouth shut. As far as my father and uncles know, she did the job. I want my bride to wait, so I'll wait. On a serious note, Uncle Enzo says, how did your meeting go? How soon can we expect an integration? The sooner the better. Uncle Nico's expression is somber. The casinos are losing money. Our contact in Marseille and Nice wants to increase his cut to 15%. Refusing will be declaring war, and it'll be a bloody one. That's what the French government is hoping for, Uncle Enzo says. As long as we keep our noses clean, they can't bring evidence against us. The slightest show of violence, however, will give them the excuse for a cleanup they're waiting for. My father clears his throat. He slurps his coffee, trying to hide a cough, but not quite succeeding. It takes a moment before he speaks. Edwards denied he made the deal. Toma and Gianni's mouths go slack. Uncle Enzo looks at my father, dumbfounded. Uncle Nico clenches his jaw. That's an insult to you and your family. You can't let it slide. My father glances at me. I'm not. I'm dealing with it, I say, dragging a gaze around the table. How? Uncle Nico asks. I take my time to finish my coffee before answering. I need a year. Uncle Enzo sits up. Why a year? For my plan to work, I need compliance from both Edwards and his daughter. Convincing Edwards to honor his promise won't be difficult. I can bend him to our will tomorrow. But she has to believe our relationship is her idea, at least for now. My uncles consider that. You can always threaten her with her family's lives, Toma offers. I pin him with a stare in which he quickly shuts his mouth. Gianni whistles through his teeth. Looks like you've got your work cut out for you, Angelo. Always quick to catch on, Uncle Enzo says. You'll have to find something to hold over her father's head while making her fall for you. She won't be so quick to fall at your feet when she finds out that you're blackmailing her father, Uncle Nico points out. My smile is flat. By that time, it won't matter. She's mine, and I'll do whatever it takes to claim her. 1 year, my father says. As the oldest, his word final. Then we do it our way. Our way means kidnapping Sabella and forcing a ring on her finger while holding a gun against her father's head. We'll put a pin in his right hand while, one by one, cutting off the fingers on his left until he signs the contract. But that won't happen until she turns 18, and if my plan works, it won't have to happen at all. Good, I say. Then it's decided. And with those words, I seal Sabella Daphne Edwards' fate.
Chapter 10. Did Angelo know I'd think of him every time I cuddle Pirate when he told my mom to let me keep the cat? Whenever I set my eyes on Pirate, I'm reminded of Angelo. These days, he occupies most of my thoughts, as well as my daydreams. We communicate daily. He's interested in my life, peppering me with questions about everything from my favorite food to my favorite books. He wants to know what I like for breakfast and why I love the ocean so much. The attention is flattering. It's got my head spinning, but not enough to be blind to the fact that he's not sharing as much information with me. When I point that out, he says his life isn't that interesting. All I know about him is that his family is filthy rich, that he's involved in his father's business, which he'll take over one day, and that he lives in Corsica. During one of our many chats, I ask him what his job title is.
Jack of all trades.
You're not a master of none.
You flatter me.
I mean it. You're one of those people who are good at everything.
Some won't call me good.
I do.
Does that mean you like me?
Would I be chatting to you if I didn't?
One day, Bella, you'll change your mind about that.
Never. I'll always like you. He goes quiet then, making me worry that I've scared him away by implying too much. But then he asks me what else I like, a clever way of changing the subject. The ocean. As always. You know that already.
Why?
I don't know. Because I feel at home in the water. I think I want to become a marine biologist. He says nothing at that. I think about it often, about what I want to do with my life and why Angelo isn't as interested in my career choice as in everything else that concerns me. I'm 90% certain I made him uneasy by saying I like him. Some guys aren't comfortable talking about mushy subjects like that. From then on, I refrain from giving away too much of what's in my heart. During the course of the year, I become more certain that I want to become a marine biologist. I've researched several career options with my parents, but I've always had my heart set on working with sea life. The admission criteria for a BSc degree are strict, and places at the University of Cape Town are limited. I can't mess up my grades. I have to score high in science, biology, and mathematics. When I'm not swimming for our school team, I'm studying with Colin. He wants to become a civil engineer like his dad, which is an equally competitive course. We get our learner driver's licenses on the same day and work hard toward our academic goals. Instead of distracting me, Angelo is amazingly supportive, cutting our conversations short when I need to study and checking in to make sure I get enough sleep. I told no one but Colin about the phone Angelo had delivered. As I can't share my lovesickness with my family, I only have Colin, whose ear I chew off, about how great Angelo is, how handsome, how mature, and how utterly considerate. Colin bears my ravings without a word, listening like a good friend. Since that first day, he's never warned me about speaking to Angelo in secret again. He's accepted with quiet tolerance the fact that I'm in love with a man who lives thousands of kilometers away, on an island. I carry the knowledge like a precious seed inside me, and as time passes, it blooms like a flower in a secret garden, nourished by attention and affection. Before I know it, the year is gone and the preparations for my 17th birthday celebration leave me with a bittersweet longing, reminding me of when Angelo and I met. 17 is not a milestone year. Luckily, this year there won't be a string quartet and people crammed onto our lawn. My father makes a dinner reservation at a new restaurant on the beachfront in Wilderness. During the dinner, I sneak to the bathroom and check my phone, the one Angelo gave me, but there's no message from him. He hasn't wished me a happy birthday. Has he forgotten? Doesn't he remember the day we met? The absence of any news and no word from him puts a damper on the evening and steals my appetite. I splash water on my face, put on a bright smile, and go back to the table. Maddie and Jared are there. They finally secured a wedding venue for October, and it's all my sister can talk about. Ryan and his wife Celeste couldn't make it. Celeste is pregnant with their first baby and due to deliver any day. "So," Maddie says when I'm seated, "what did you get for your birthday?" "An underwater camera from Mom and Dad." I smile at them. Colin gave me a new scuba mask. "What a pity he couldn't make it tonight," my mom says. "Oh, no," I say quickly. "It's better that we kept it in the family." Maddie mixes her pink gin and tonic with a bamboo straw. "If Colin isn't family, then I don't know what he is."
She elbows Jared. Isn't that so? Jared straightens his glasses.
Oh.
He glances at Maddie and clears his throat.
Yes, I have a friend I'd like you.
I don't want to meet him, I say. Come on, Bella. Maddie stabs the ice with the straw. Just meet the guy for drinks. My dad checks his watch for the second time in 5 minutes.
What's taking them so long? Are they catching the prawns?
Mom picks up her wine and asks with thin lips,
Do you have somewhere else to be?
Just tired, my dad says, winking at me.
It's been a long day.
I watch him closely, taking in the bags under his eyes and the extra weight he picked up around his waist. Is everything okay at work?
Of course, he says. There's nothing to worry about.
Are you sure? He leans over the table and pats my hand.
It's the spillover of the end of the year stress. You know how it goes.
As he looks over my shoulder, his expression lifts.
Ah, here are our starters.
Mom and Maddie launch into a conversation about the wedding arrangements, while Dad wolfs down his food and Jared seems to tune out. I fish my phone from my bag on my lap and check the screen under the cover of the table. Still nothing.
Sabella,
my mom says. I jump, guilt painting my cheeks with heat. She frowns.
No phones at the table.
Sorry, I put the phone away. I'm expecting a message from Colin. Lying became easier as the months passed. I'm doing it now without as much as wincing. Guilt still plagues me, but not nearly as much as in the beginning. I guess you grow immune to it after a while. The pleats on her brow smooth out. Somewhat pacified, she says,
You can check your messages at home.
For the rest of the evening, I push the food around on my plate while I think up 100 reasons why Angelo forgot my birthday. It's the anniversary of our first meeting, after all. Doesn't that hold any importance for him? Dad excuses himself when we have dessert to make a call outside.
What's so urgent that it can't wait until the morning? My mom asks when he gets back. Does your CFO still work at this hour?
Ignoring her, Dad waves over a waiter and orders a coffee. Things have been hectic at the office since his junior accountant was murdered. Dad is still battling to find a good candidate to replace him. The ones he employs don't stay long. I overheard Ryan tell Celeste that the staff turnover has never been as high. The online article said the police suspected that the victim was hijacked on his way to work. The assailants must have thrown him over a cliff. His body washed up 2 weeks later near Buffalo's Bay. I shiver at the thought. The traffic police later spotted his car on a highway near Cape Town. They arrested the driver, who claimed he bought the car from a private seller. The seller had been convicted of several car thefts throughout the Western Province. He'd been arrested on charges of theft and murder, but was released due to a lack of evidence. These crimes happen so frequently that no one blinks when it's on the news any longer. It's the first time it happened to anyone in our close circle, though. While Dad settles the bill, I drive home with Maddie and Jared. Jared kisses Maddie goodbye and leaves just as Mom and Dad arrive. Dad goes to his study to work for another hour, and Mom and Maddie go to bed. I have a shower, dress in my favorite t-shirt and boy shorts, and go downstairs to say goodnight to Dad.
Happy birthday, darling,
he says with a smile, shutting his notebook in the drawer before switching off his desk lamp.
I'm going to call it a night, too.
Dad locks the doors and sets the alarm as I go in search of Pirate, who now has access to the garden as well as the entire house. As it turned out, my mom outgrew her allergy. Pirate comes out of the lounge when I call him, knowing there's a treat waiting for him. I tuck him under my arm and carry him upstairs. When I get back to my room, my phone pings. I leave Pirate's snack in his bowl and rush over to retrieve the phone from my bag. It's the wrong phone. It's Colin. My shoulders slump. Colin, how was dinner? I sigh. Thank me later for sparing you from sitting through that. He sends a laughing emoji. I would have liked to go. Trust me, you wouldn't have enjoyed it. Night, Bella. Smiling, I type, Night, Colin. I dump the phone on the nightstand and check the other one. Nothing. After switching off the light, I crawl into bed with Pirate, as always, taking comfort from his warm body pressed against mine. I'm about to doze off when my phone pings again. Rubbing my eyes, I reach for the phone to tell Colin to go to sleep, and then my heart jumps in my chest. It's not Colin. I grab the other one from where I've hidden it under my bed. The screen lights up with a text message from Angelo. Open the gate, Bella. I'm outside. Chapter 11. Angelo Russo is here, outside in front of my gate. I want to believe it, but I'm scared to. If it's a joke, I won't be able to handle the disappointment. My heart hammers in my chest as I throw back the covers and get out of bed. I open my door and stick my head around the doorframe. The hallway is dark. No light falls from under Maddie's door. At the end of the hallway, my father's snoring is already coming through the door of my parents' bedroom. Not daring to switch on a light, I walk barefoot through the house. The moonlight that falls through the big windows illuminates my way. I stop in the kitchen to check the screen on the intercom. Angelo Russo stares right into the camera, his face a clear black and white picture that steals my breath and makes my palms sweat. He's here. A mixture of excitement, surprise, and anxiety slams into me. It takes a moment to find my bearings and to somewhat calm my breathing. I don't even want to think about my dad's reaction if he finds out. But he's here. Angelo Russo flew across the whole of Africa because he didn't forget my birthday. It takes a split second to make a decision. Quickly crossing the floor, I open the steel door of the control room where our security equipment is located. The room is basked in the bluish light from the monitors on the desk. It's cold inside. I shiver and glance over my shoulder. A nervous, guilty reaction as I flip the switch to deactivate the cameras. What I'm doing is wrong. I'm disobeying my father. But my joy at seeing Angelo outweighs my fear of getting caught. No one ever watches the camera recordings anyway. It's a precaution in case of a burglary. When the screens go dark, I leave and quietly close the door behind me. At the front door, I switch off the alarm in the house, as well as the perimeter alarms in the garden. I turn the 3 locks on the door as noiselessly as I can. With each squeak, I hold my breath. Finally, the front door is open. A button on the wall unlocks the security gate. Grabbing my key from the bowl on the entrance table, I cut across the lawn to the pedestrian gate. Angelo is visible through the bars. He stands on the pavement under the yellow light of the street lamp with a hand shoved in his pocket and his jacket slung over his shoulder. He looks like an apparition in the mist rolling in from the sea. In dark slacks and a fitted white shirt with the top 3 buttons undone, he's both the same and different. Familiar and a stranger. Exhilarating and frightening. His demeanor is vigilant and alert. He's observing the surroundings even as his attention is trained on me. Like a seasoned soldier, he seems to be aware of every sight and sound, of every leaf that stirs in the breeze. For a moment, I can't do anything but look at him. I take in everything,
the thicker curls of his hair, the harsher, more angular lines of his face, and the stubble on his jaw. His forearms are exposed where his shirt sleeves are rolled up. The hair dusting his skin is dark. His biceps are bigger and his chest is broader. The difference between us hits me all at once. He's a man, even more so now than last year. He's 21 and I'm 17. Compared to him, I'm a child. He has experience I'm lacking, yet he's interested in me. A year didn't wipe out the spark of 2 fleeting meetings. Time only strengthened our attraction. The curve of his lips is sensual. His voice is rich and deep,